baby. Come on now. We have got Super Saturday continuing with the second game of the day. Hey guys, how you going? So down BKRsport. We just finished up as the West Tigers were able to get a good win against the North Queensland Cowboys. Cowboys got a lot to answer for right now, unfortunately. They got done 44-16 in a high-scoring game that we usually do see out of those two teams when they play each other, barring last year. Oh, it was high-scoring last year between the two, but not as much of a blowout. It was actually two really close games overall, but that one's done and dusted. Now we move into the second game of the day, which is the St George Illawarra Dragons taking on the Melbourne Storm, and this one has a lot of interesting vibes about it. The Dragons, well, you know, there's a lot to talk about in regards to, is their defense good after a good game against the Doggies, or is the Dogs' attack that people do criticise a lot wasn't that good, and just they weren't able to kick the ball on fit tackle once in that game, the Bulldogs, and this game will tell me if the Dragons' defense is up to scratch this year, and actually a really good one, because the Storm, they're coming off of the back of a massive win against Parramatta, who obviously they can't defend. They got 32 points to the Brisbane Broncos, but still scored 40 points. Didn't get many points against the Storm, but were able to get some points this week at the very least. So look, the Storm, that does show really good signs for them, considering that a lot of people have some doubts about the Melbourne Storm this year, despite the fact they've made two grand finals in a row. Yes, they've lost both of them, but at the end of the day, they've been the last two grand finals, and the Dragons, they have a lot to prove. This is a really big proving game for them, and especially being at Wollongong, they do have a good record in recent years over the Melbourne Storm, where they've been able to pick up a couple of cheeky little results from time to time, which has been really positive. If you go back to last year, in 2025, I think at Wollongong, actually the Dragons got a win here against the Melbourne Storm. I'm just going to go quickly and make sure of that. So let's move and scroll this down before we do get into the team lineup. The last time they did play them, yeah, they won 14-8. It was at Cogra. It was at Jubilee Stadium, but they won 14-8 over the Melbourne Storm early last year. And I don't think they actually travelled to Melbourne. I think their only game against the Storm last year was in Cogra, and that is true. Yeah, they didn't play the Melbourne Storm a second time last year, so they actually beat them 100% in 2025. In 2024, however, they travelled down to Melbourne and won 18-16. So they're actually two in a row against the Melbourne Storm, which is quite funny considering the Storm are two grand finals in a row. The Dragons came third last year, and I think they came 10th or 11th in 2024, if I'm not mistaken. Did they play? What was the other result when it was at Cogra in 2024? Or they might have only played them once again. I think they've only played them once in the last 2 years, or like once each year for the last 2 years straight. Because yeah, I can't see a game in Cogra against the Storm, but I can see that game down there in Melbourne. So yeah, they've won their last two games in a row. What was the 23 result then? How many games in a row have they got? Is it just the two, or are we going back to 2023 as well? So in 2023, no, the Storm won 38-28 in the Gong, but also it was a pretty close game. Only 10 points at the end, and the Storm gave up quite a few points to them. Did they play each other in Melbourne that year? I don't think they did. They did not. They did not play the Storm in Melbourne that year. So they're only playing each other once per year at the moment. But in the last 3 years, the Dragons have won their last two in a row against them and was actually pretty competitive in their loss of 38-28 at the Gong 3 years back. But let's get into these two team lineups. The game does start in 12 minutes time, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe if you are new around here, and let's smash it out. So the Dragons, they come to this game from 13th position. The Storm come to the game from 2nd position, and this is at Wynn Stadium in Wollongong. Now the Dragons, after their loss in Vegas to the Dogs, controversial, probably should have been a draw, but at the end of the day, it does go down as a loss. No ins, no outs. The same team gets to play again. The fullback is Clint Gutherson, who is the captain, with the wingers being Christian Tuipulotu and Setu Tu. Centres of Moses Sully and Valentine Holmes. The 5'8" is Kyle Flanagan, with the halfback Daniel Atkinson. Then you go to the props, front row forwards of Emro Gula and Toby Couchman. Number 9 is Damien Cook. The back row is Lucian Leilua and Jaden Sewer, with the 13 being Hame Sele. Was originally meant to start on the bench, but now he is the starting 13. And Hamish Stewart, he goes to the interchange with Josh Kerr, Blake Laurie, Ryan Couchman, Lycan King Tagia, and Matthew Finney, with the coach being Shane Flanagan. We can go to death in regards to the criticism of Kyle Flanagan. He needs to prove himself today. He needs to get them going. And this is not an easy game for them to do it against. Obviously, the Melbourne Storm are one of the best teams in the competition over the last 30 years. 30 years of just pure domination from Melbourne. So it's not an easy game to go from the Bulldogs, who came third last year, into the Storm, who came second last year and were in the grand final. This is a really tough start for St George, and you can't really blame them if they lose both of them. But if they lose both games by close margins, that's a big, big positive for them. However, the Dragons in recent years have lost a lot of games by close margins. So Look, you just need to put some of those into wins. You do. I know that's an obvious thing to say, but you just need to stop those losing games by 1-6 because it doesn't really prove anything. It proves that you can turn up for the big games and lose by a small margin, but then you're inconsistent in the other games too. And I thought it was surprising to hear that they came third last year. It was very, very surprising. I didn't think that reflected a lot of what their season was, but at the end of the day, that is what happened because they did lose all those games super, super damn well close. But the Dragons, look, they've got a back line here of Gutho, Tupilotu, Sully, Holmes and Setu 2, which definitely has a little bit of spice about it. Definitely does have a bit of spice about it, sorry. And then the halves, they've brought over Daniel Atkinson from the Sharkies, and he's meant to lead their halfback alongside Flanagan, who's been pushed to the 6. I do like that decision, but they've got a lot of pressure on their shoulders. The Dragons, over the last couple of years, very similar to the Knights, the halves are the pressure cooker of their team. Whilst outside of that, there is actually some pretty good players. Damien Cook isn't what he once was. Jacob Little, I believe, is injured right now. I do actually like Little a bit more than what Damien Cook does provide. But Cook is very experienced and hopefully can move this team going here in the Gong. Their forwards are okay. Jaden Stewart has played Origin. Lucian Leilua is solid enough. Emre Gula is bare basic but does his job. And Toby Couchman's okay and Hame Sele is okay here. So it's an okay forward pack. It's not that great on paper, but it definitely has the ability to be, mid-range of the pack for mine, is what I would say. But their back line does have a bit of spice about it. So that's the positive I'll give the Dragons, but I don't really know too much about what they're going to produce right now. Obviously, off the Charity Shield match in the pre-season was really disappointing, as they had a full-strength team up against a reserve-grade Rabbitohs team and did lose that one. That was really disappointing, and then they did put on an effort against the Dogs, but again, people are happy to say the Dragons had really good defence in that game and have improved their defence. Well, it's interesting because people are also happy to insult the Dogs and say their attack was awful and their attack overall is really, really bad. So if the Dragons' defence was amazing, well, then that surely means that the Dogs' attack was really good, which I don't agree with. I think that if the Dogs' attack was really, really poor, the Dragons just need to do their job, and I do think they just did their job. Now we'll see if their defence is good against the Storm, if they can hold them to a lower score, especially after scoring 50-plus points last week against the Eels. Now we'll see if the Dragons have it in them to defend a really high-fly Melbourne Storm team. Now, for the Melbourne Storm, their ins and outs, Angus Hinchy and Jack Hetherington are in, with the outs being Alec McDonald and Preston Conn. The fullback is Sualauvi Faulongo, with the wingers being Will Warbrick and Nick Meaney, centres of Jack Howarth and Moses Leo. The 5'8" is Cameron Munster, with the halfback being Jerome Hughes. Front row forwards of Stefano Utuakamanu and Josh King. With the back row, Joe Chan and Ativali Lusati. Forgot to mention the hooker, Harry Grant, who is the captain. The 13 is Tui Kamikamitha. And then we go to the interchange of Tyron Wishart, Cooper Clark, Jack Hetherington, Dabney Moali, Siwalangi Tuimalatu Brown, and Angus Hinchy, with the coach being Craig Bellamy. This Storm team is always getting criticism for maybe not being up to it this year. They every single year people say, oh, this is the year they drop off, this is the year they fall away, and it just never happens. We had that complaint from a lot of people last year, and they still made the grand final. We had that complaint from a lot of people the year before that, they still made the grand final. This Melbourne Storm team is just a juggernaut. Their system, it is just the system. That's what the merchandise represents. It is the system. They just know how to get it done. Until Craig Bellamy goes, I just don't see them falling away. And, realistically as well, in regards to, them falling away, it will take a few years afterwards as well. It will take a few years after them. So I'm just refreshing this just to see if we've got the Tigers up there. No, they haven't updated the ladder just yet for the Tigers to go up into second position for the time being. No, so yeah, they would be second position based on the points differential. The Tigers would be there. So I tried to refresh that, but that hasn't happened just yet, Tigers, unfortunately. But yeah, look, this Storm team is a juggernaut, and outside of their spine, there is a lot of question marks in regards to their centres, which is why it's quite funny that Bronson Xerri is probably looking likely to be going to the Storm. Bronson Xerri obviously has put in an immediate release request from the Canterbury Bulldogs, and it's an interesting timing, especially considering that the Storm didn't get Zach Lomax, and that situation was a blow-up for them, and their centres are interesting of Moses Leo and Jack Howarth, and the wing is obviously Xavier Coates is the outside. Nick Meaney is on the wing with Will Warbrick, and Will Warbrick is off to the New Zealand Warriors next year, I believe. So that is very, very much looking like it's going to be that Bronson Xerri ends up at the Melbourne Storm immediately, as in like in the next couple of weeks kind of deal, because they are obviously fretting. They are scared in regards to their backline, especially with that Xavier Coates injury. So that is something interesting to watch out for here with this Melbourne team. I would assume that Bronson is on his way down there. Their spine is obviously no question marks whatsoever, and their forward pack, Watchalong needs to be the guy this year. I don't think that he was necessarily the guy last week. I think that definitely came down to their spine, but I need to see a lot out of Watchalong in 2026. It's just as simple as that. If he doesn't have a good year, then I'm completely off him. I saw a lot of positivity out of him last year. I'll see him go and do it again because he has to be the leader in this pack. Kamikamica, he's okay, but he's not a leader. I know he's the captain for Fiji, but at the end of the day, he's not a forward pack leader. Can make a few mistakes as well. Same thing with Josh King. He gets his job done and can be solid, but makes a few mistakes. Joe Chan looked good last week. Ativale Lusatu looked good last week, but obviously Sean Bloor is on his way back into this team. He is playing in the reserves this week, I believe, and Elias Katoa is out for the season. So their back rows have taken a massive hit coming into this year, which is a big reason why people are doubting them and whatnot. But Joe Chen and Ativalu Lesati both had pretty good games last week, in my personal opinion. Again, though, it was against the Eels, which you would expect to see a lot of points scored against them with how they've been going recently. So look, I'm taking the Storm here. I am. I'm 2 from 2, so 2 and 2 so far. If you don't know, every single week we put out a tipping video and put post notifications on for the channel so that you don't miss that. This week we'll be walking around a market here in Ho Chi Minh for that one. But I did tip the Roosters, so I got that one right, but I did get the Raiders one wrong, and I also tipped the Broncos against the Eels, but that, unbelievable, Broncos, you're unbelievable. So I've gone with the Storm here, and hopefully, I went with the Tigers over the Cowboys, obviously, so I'm 2 and 2. Hopefully I go 3 and 2 here, but I do feel concerned about the upset here because the Dragons do have a bit of a bogey side vibe over the Storm right now. Now, bogey sides do end. I do believe in bogey sides. I do believe in the bogey curses. I think that is a legitimate thing in sport and especially in rugby league. But bogey sides do end as well. So whether that be a short-term bogey side of the last couple of years for the Dragons over the Storm or it continues, I don't know. But, the Titans in the 2010s could not get a single win against the Warriors. I think they won like once or twice across 10 years against the Warriors. And now that's switched up. And now it's the Warriors really struggle to get the win over the Titans. Yes, they won their last game against them, but overall in the last 6 years, it's kind of been a one-way street for the Titans over the Warriors. And that's the thing. Like, once a bogey side does exist, but it can be broken. It definitely can be broken. So, look, I think that the Storm do win here today, but let's just see if that Dragons defense is actually truthfully good compared to what we've seen from them in recent years. In the first 7 rounds here for the Dragons, before we do get into the chat, the game starts in about 5 minutes time here. Before we do get into that, the first 7 rounds for the Dragons, obviously they lost to the Dogs 15-14, controversially in Vegas. But then now they've got the Storm at home. They play the Eels next week at CommBank, the Titans the week after at Seabus, the Cowboys at home at Cogra, Manly at home in the Gong, and then the Rabbitohs in round 7 at Accor Stadium in Sydney. Now, the reason why we say 5 to 7 rounds or 7 rounds in specific is because that's when you really start to know how a team is going to perform in the year for the most part. Sometimes teams can turn on in the second half and sometimes teams can fall off. But you have a good idea about what to expect from a team. So this is actually a really good schedule for them. The Bulldogs and the Storm is a trial by fire. Bulldogs 3rd last year, Storm 2nd last year. But outside of that, the Eels, that is a very winnable game for St George. The Titans, very winnable game for St George. Cowboys, unbelievable chance of winning that game with what we've seen from the Cowboys so far. Manly, very winnable game at the Gong. And then the Rabbitohs, look, it's winnable, but I would probably be leaning towards the Rabbitohs there and getting that left edge going. And with Cody Walker, David Feeder, Latrell Mitchell and Alex Johnson, I think that's a really good game for the Rabbits. But at the end of the day, through 7 rounds, if you're a Dragons fan, right this very second, you should be expecting to win against the Eels, the Titans, the Cowboys, and Manly. So that's 4. Rabbitohs is 50-50. Storm, you're probably expecting to lose still, and the Bulldogs obviously lost. You could be 4 and 3 after 7 rounds, and I think that'd be really positive for you. I think that if you're not 4 and 3 after 7 rounds, then there's major concerns and major worries. If you get a win here against the Storm today, then you only need 3 wins out of those games against the Eels, Titans, Cowboys, and Manly to be on that positive trajectory after 7 rounds. That'll give you a really good sign for this team being a lot better than what was expected from them. But I would say a minimum for them would be 4 and 3 after 7 rounds if you want to be in contention for that top 8 at the end of the year and to show people, hey, listen, I know you tipped us low and I know we played poorly in the preseason, but we are here and we are ready to rock and roll for a competitive spot in that top 8. So that's what I would expect. 4 and 3 at a minimum for mine. Now for the Storm, now they're running out into the field right now, but the Storm, they won 52-4 over the Eels last week. Now they travel to St George in Wollongong. Then they have the Broncos at home in Melbourne next week. Wow. Cowboys away in Townsville. Panthers away at CommBank. Warriors at home in Melbourne. And then the Raiders away in Canberra in the 7th round. That is a very interesting start here for Melbourne. From their perspective, they can win every single game. I think that from their perspective, they should be expecting to be at least 5-2. I think that's what the Storm should be achieving. The only games I could see them probably on their basis losing would be maybe Panthers, and with the way the Warriors are playing the Warriors is what I would probably say. Raiders is a bit of a harsh one too in Canberra, but they looked awful yesterday. Warriors don't ever usually beat the Storm though, like literally ever, so that is a tough one. But I would say that just without even looking at the schedule, because with the Storm you just don't look at the schedule, it just is what it is, I would say a 5-2 is a minimum for them at the end of that 7 rounds based off of what we know from Melbourne. So that would be my opinion on the two teams there, and coming into this game, a beautiful day in the Gong right now. Would have liked a few more people in the crowd here, to be fair, but still, you know, a decent amount of people out of this game. Obviously, guys, do me a favour, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new around here, hit 40,000 on Thursday, and now we're on our way to 50k, baby. Let's get it. Get into the chat, let me know your thoughts about this game, and then don't forget, we've got a belter of a Saturday night matchup right after this. We'll be live for Sharkies, Panthers in Bathurst. Wowee. Let's see. Hopefully an upset there from my tip perspective. You know, I did take the old Sharkies as an upset, and the reason being is because I don't give a shit you beat the Titans. My Titans, I don't give a shit you beat them. You know, you should be able to beat them. Go and beat the Panthers. Stop beating all these easy teams. Stop beating all these big teams. You know, preliminary finals. Yeah, sure, they've made the back-to-back preliminary finals, but go and prove it now. You know, this is your time to shine. You've had long enough to prove it. You need to prove it right damn on now, Sharkies. So I've gone with the upset there. I think it's really, really important. Really, really important that they go and get a win there. Even though it's so super early in the season, go and get the job done. But all right, Storm about to kick this ball off here to the Dragons. Give me some score predictions in the chat. Get around it. Apparently Bronson Cherry seen at Tullamarine Airport. Funny that you say that. I didn't even see that comment. Funny that you say that. I did immediately think the Storm with a shout. David says he'll be tipping Dragons on Melbourne Storm. I'm taking the Storm, but I do believe bogey curses exist. The Storm will kick it off here, and the Dragons will receive this ball at the 5. That'll be Flanagan who gives it off to Emre Gula, and Gula brings it out to the 15. Let me just make sure this live score goes live. Let me refresh this little bad boy here. Alrighty, the live score is good to go, and we are on. Third tackle for the Dragons. They're going to be at the 30. Colin Power says, I'm in Vietnam on holiday, so I don't have access to watching the games. Loving your channel. Cheers, bro. Appreciate you, Colin. Whereabouts in Vietnam are you? I'm in Ho Chi Minh. I've been here for the last about 7 weeks or so. 6 again here for the Dragons. They're going to be at the 50. I'm off to Malaysia for about 5-6 weeks. Not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday. And then I'm coming back to Vietnam. But whereabouts in the old Nam are you, brother? You Hanoi or Da Nang or Ho Chi Minh? Get around it. Valentine Holmes will be at the 35 on third tackle. And appreciate that you support the channel and enjoying the content. Third tackle with the Dragons. 35 metres away. They'll get this ball across to Daniel Atkinson. And then Couchman, Toby Couchman will be 30 metres out for tackle. NCS is beer o'clock here in sunny Thailand. Let's go Storm. When is it not beer o'clock in Thailand, NC? I don't think there's ever been a time that isn't beer o'clock. Dragons quickly taken down to the 20 on fifth tackle. All right, let's see your attack here against a resilient Storm defence. They were, the second best defensive team in the comp last year to the Dogs. Dragons, I think, have knocked that ball on far longer. We'll get it at the 3. I think they're saying this is knocked back here from the Storm. Is it first tackle or zero tackle here? They're saying it was knocked back from the Storm, so not a knock-on against St George. Second tackle for Melbourne. They're going to get this ball to the 15 through Will Warbrick. Judy says Cook versus Grant is going to be a great matchup. I think it would have been 5 years ago, but Harry Grant is very, very clearly better than Damien Cook nowadays. Harry Grant is clear on top of the hooker department. Blake Brayley probably comes in second on a gap, and then there's a gap between Blake Brayley and the next slot. Damien Cook's not the same player he was 5 to 6 years ago. But if you're talking 5 or 6 years ago, then absolutely, you know, Cookie and Grant would have been a massive matchup. So right-hand side, and that will be Utukamanu, I nearly said Sean Bloor. Utukamanu gets that ball to the 30, and not a great set here from the Melbourne Storm. Munster has to kick it from his 30, but it ends up being a good kick down to the 20, and now the Dragons will bring this out here to the 30 through Gutho, who gets the ball offloaded, and Tuipulotu will be taken down at the 31. Jossie Parr says, interested to see how Hetherington will go. Yep, yeah, no, he does a lot of work in the middle that goes unnoticed, I would say. Hetherington, not the most unbelievable play, but does a lot of work in the middle that goes unnoticed by teams. Richard M says, "G'day, legend. Warwick rumour of going to the Warriors and Storm is true." I don't know if it's true, but I think I would expect it. I wouldn't mind it, especially considering that Warwick has played for New Zealand Sevens, is a Kiwi. I do rate him. Oh, Gutho's lost the ball. Jerome Hughes has picked it up at the 40, the 35, the 30, and the Storm are going to go on the attack here. That was awful from St George. And the Storm are already on the attack, 30 metres out. Munster, he's going to go across to Atuvalu Lesati, and he's going to be at the 20 on first tackle. Oh, he's lost the ball. He's lost the ball here, and the Dragons going to pick it up. No, it's a penalty to Melbourne. Please don't take the 2. Please don't take the 2 here, Melbourne. I know you. Don't take the 2. Ends here says that's the Dragons thing to do. Silver hat-trick incoming. Dragons have a pretty good record recently against Melbourne. Still got the Storm though. Yeah, I agree. That is true. Judith says, I reckon Warbrick will stay given the Warriors have too many outside backs. Yeah, but they're not necessarily confident with Luffy right now. They're also not necessarily confident with Dallin Watene-Zelezniak long term. There's some interesting thought processes there. There is. But they do have a lot of outside backs. I don't think that it should necessarily be the case, but I could see it, especially considering that Warbrick is Kiwi, has played for the All Black Sevens before. They are going for the 2 with the Storm. They are going for the 2, and it will be Nick Meaney going for the conversion, the penalty. Dasmate says, absolute muppet. We saved his career and leaves us like the hot chick leaves the nerd for the jock at the high school formal. It's a good way to think about it, to be fair. That you did save his career. Where it says, do you think Zach Lomax has a handshake agreement with the Storm for 2028? I don't care anything about Zach Lomax. I think he's a knob, and I don't care what he does in 2028. Go and play rugby for all you like, mate, but I could not care less about what the future is for Taxman. Michael says, Shane Flano has won 6 from 8 last games against Bellamy. Yeah, that's wild. That is a good point that you make there, Daz, in regards to Bronson Seri. Home of the NRL says, hey, Blaze, didn't get to see the Tigers game. I heard they had like 8-6 against in the first 20th, so that's ridiculous. They had 8-6 against in the first 10, brother. First 10. It might have been like 6 or 7 in the first 10, but at the point of the first 10 was when they got all those 6 against. So pretty sure Lisati and Chan locked down the edges for the coming rounds. Well, Sean Bloor is back in reserve grade this week, so I think Sean Bloor comes in next week. Judah says, Sean picked up a knee injury, looked pretty hurt, so an update on the NRL fees. Oh, you're talking about in the... Oh, Sean Bloor picked up another injury in the... Oh, that's brutal. Sean Bloor picked up another injury in the reserve grade game. Yeah, fair enough. So Jerome Hughes will get this ball off to Utukamanu, and he's going to bring this ball out here to the 13. Well, then, yeah, that would mean that Ativalu Lasati and... who's the other back rower? My brain can't even think about the other back rower's name right now. That is Joe Chan. Yeah. Those guys will probably lock down that back row for the foreseeable future for sure. Why would they expect to beat Manly? Who? Why would they expect it? Well, Manly. You're talking about the Dragons. I think that at the end of the day, the Dragons definitely do believe that they can win that game, and Manly are a team predicted in the bottom 4 this year. And there's nothing to go against that right now. Yeah, like the Raiders, okay, that was a very close game. They still lost at home. But also, mind you, the Raiders got pumped by 40 by the Warriors yesterday. People still aren't ultimately convinced long-term about the Warriors either, but they've had a really good start to the season. I do think that the Dragons could expect to beat Manly. Yeah. Even though they're both in a bottom 4 positioning on pre-season predictions overall. So first tackle here for St George. Now second tackle, Christian Tuipulotu at the 30 on their own side of the field. Clyde says up the Saints. We own the Dragons. I'm sorry. Oh, okay, that's not the point though. Third tackle now for the 40 for the Dragons at the third tackle. Johnny Parr says, eager to see more Cooper Clark. I was actually happy watching him last week. Yeah, I did think that Cooper Clark had a pretty positive game. That's a knock on here from the Dragons. No, 6 again. They've called for St George to their own 45. This has been a positive start here for St George, barring that knock on from Gutho and then the penalty that they gave up. It's been a pretty positive start overall. Damien Cook out at the left-hand side to Kyle Flanagan. And Flanagan to Emre Gula, who'll be 33 metres out, second tackle. Desmond says, oh, okay, so he's done a Sunnyville Williams, had he? Peter says, Dragon spine is too slow. Agree. Luciano and Sua. Dragons! 20 metres out, third tackle. Luciano and Sua are their only players in the top half of the NRL in their position. It's an interesting thought process. Dragons now will be at the 10. I would say that Gutho is in the top 9 fullbacks in the game. I just don't think that he's got the same flair and energy as you're probably liking. Top 9 is what your basis is. Dragons kick it through. 7 tackle set. For the Storm coming up. 2 deep. It goes 2 deep. And it will be a 7 tackle set for the Melbourne Storm. Coat Christie says, first time here, subscriber now. Thanks for having me. Appreciate you, Coat. Sorry, but I don't know if that's Cote there or Coat. So I apologise if I've mispronounced that. But 0 tackle for the Storm, and they're going to get a 6 again. So 0 tackle here at the 30. Now it'll be Suifalongo going out to the right-hand side. And Joe Chan's going to bring this ball to the 40 on first tackle. Duraz says, why do you call Lomax Taxman? Fair, though. He wants that extra cash because Lomax and I have a history between each other. There's a reason why I call him Taxman. Long-time subscribers know about that. Oh, you're in Hanoi, Colin. Oh, good stuff, man. Hope you're enjoying those coconut coffees. How good are they? How good is a bit of coconut coffee? Third tackle for Fa'alongo in the Storm. He'll be at the 40. Let's see the Storm show a little bit more oomph here, a little bit more energy. I'm not seeing a great deal of energy from them early doors. Kami Kamitha, he'll be 35 metres out on 4 tackle. Roll back to Harry Grant, out to Jerome Hughes. Hughes then underneath, and Jack Howarth is still going here. Jack Howarth is still going, and he's going to be 22 metres away from the line. I feel like they're going to go out to the right-hand side. They do to Jerome Hughes, and they'll kick that ball up into the corner. Good chase here. Will Warbrick, he goes up for it. Great take. Christian Tuipulotu. That is a phenomenal take there from Tuipulotu, and he gets taken down to the 5. Well done. Full-time story says, when Ken Irvine broke the all-time try-scoring record in 1969, he scored 2 tries and lost 18-26. Yeah, I posted this on my Instagram before. 18-26. When Alex Johnson broke the all-time try-scoring record in 2026, he scored 2 tries and lost 18-26. Yep, but also the funny thing is, it was at the same ground. It was at the same ground that it happened. So third tackle for the Dragons, and they've only gotten to the 24 now on 4 tackle. 10 minutes gone in the first half, guys. 30 minutes to go of the first half. Hit that like button and subscribe if you're new around here. Draz says, man, I wonder if Tupou breaks it next. Like, he should pass Irvine, but it depends on how much AJ adds to his tally. I think Tupou is 1 year older than Johnson, isn't he? Or is he 1 year younger? I can't remember. Storm picked that ball up at the 20, and it's going to be Nick Meaney who brings it out at the 35 on first tackle. Daniel Tupou is not a bad shout to get up there. I think that Tupou will finish above Ken Irvine, but I don't think that he's going to be able to take down Alex Johnson unless there's an injury. In touch wood, that doesn't happen. I always want to see the best players out there at all times. Oh, he's 2 years older than AJ. It's not happening. But I do have Daniel Tupou by the end of his career to probably beat Irvine. Yeah. Utuakamanu punches off a couple of tackles, gets a great offload away to Josh King, and then Josh King is going to bring this ball to the 30. That was an unbelievable run and offload there from Stefano Utuakamanu. When was the last time the Dragons versus Storm was a competitive matchup? The last couple of years, when the Dragons have beaten the Storm twice. Literally the last 2 years. Warbrick is coming home for personal reasons. That makes sense, Peter. So Harry Grant, he'll give it off to Munster. Munster to Jerome Hughes. Jerome Hughes to Fa'alongo. Fit tackle, 15 out, kicks it through. Will it sit up? Will it sit up? Will it sit up? Oh, it's going to have to be a dropout. Yeah, Gutho did his best. You can't blame Gutho here. He was letting that ball go over, and it just bounced up awkwardly into him. And then will be a dropout coming up from the Dragons. Is Grant playing? Of course, Harry Grant's playing. Jack. Of course he is. Storm on a dry track could be quite dangerous today. Could be, but they're not looking exactly unbelievable as we currently speak. Dragons have won their last 2 versus Storm, yeah. When was it viewed as a game you're looking forward to and not sure who's going to win? The last 3 years? The last 3 years? And right now is an argument here. That's going to be short, so that will be 10 metres. The Storm will get the ball 10 metres out. Goes over the sideline, short. Rhino says, following from South Africa, hoping for a Dragons win. Get around here in South Africa. Are you Aussie in South Africa, or are you South African? Good to see if you're a Safa getting around a game. I know it's slowly growing, very slowly growing, but I do notice a lot more analytics showing that people from South Africa are watching. Second tackle now for the Storm at the 8. And it'll be Harry Grant, goes quickly, left-hand side to Lisati. Lisati punches off 1. He's going to be 2 metres short, third tackle. 2 metres short. Harry Grant, he'll pass it across here to Cameron Munster. Munster then gets it off to Jerome Hughes. Jerome Hughes gets it out. Fa'alongo, quick passing. Will Warbrick goes. Bang! Try time for the Melbourne Storm. Choo, chugga, chugga. Will Warbrick try. And it is... No, the biffo! Someone throw a headbutt, you cats! Someone throw an uppercut. Boom, boom, slap with an elbow. Come on, someone throw a headbutt. There is a biffo in the centre of the field. Joe Chan, Sully there. Sully would weird me out a little bit. I don't think that Sully is really that aggressive of a guy. I'm surprised if Sully's a part of this. The handbags are out, Shauno. I reckon they've just all got a little bit of sexual tension here, just want to kiss each other, but they can't do it publicly on TV, so it just turns into the physical tension rather than that sexual tension. But yeah, Jerome Hughes got contacted a little bit late there, which is probably what they're arguing about, or maybe it's Fa'alongo who's been contacted late. Now, Jerome Hughes, that was fine. They're looking at Tui Pelotu for his hit on Fa'alongo late. So, yeah, it wasn't Sully. Sully was all the way over here. He just comes in and separated. I was going to be surprised. Sully doesn't really take... I don't take Sully for an aggressive individual. I think he's a real good bloke. 6-0 here to the Storm with a kick to come from the sideline. Sully is definitely an aggressive guy? Really? No, I'm not talking about on the field in regards to his runs. I think he's really aggressive with his runs, but I haven't really... Have we seen him get, like, angry, and try to punch on with anyone? I can't remember. Maybe. So, yeah, Fa'alongo, Tui Pelotu comes in, and, yeah, I can understand why the Storm players do get a little bit up at that. And Joe Chan just shoves Tui Pelotu. Arthur Bunny says, AJ is the best winger to ever play. Wrong. AJ is the best try scorer to ever play. AJ is not the best winger to ever play the game. He's not even top 10. But he's the best try scorer. He's the best point scorer as a winger. Meanie! Great kick from the sideline. 8-0. I don't think that you could argue... I don't think you could say Alex Johnson should be top 10. I don't think so. But that doesn't mean I'm taking away from him being the best try scorer of the game ever. Because that is a fact. You cannot debate that. But there is plenty of wingers I would take over Alex Johnston. If you're asking me for like a draft of like all-time wingers, you're talking guys like Jared Hayne, guys like Semi Radradra was unbelievable. Just didn't have a long enough time in the game. You know, I'm taking. There's so many. Like go through the Broncos history, Takiri and the likes, and you've got Brian To'o nowadays. You've got. I'm just scrolling through all the players over the years, and it's just like my brain's getting frazzled. Getting frazzled, bro. Thinking about all these players. Like I would even go like guys like Manu Vatavai, but obviously that's a discussion. But I don't think that Alex Johnson is anywhere close to being the best winger of all time, but he is the best try scorer of all time, and that's a fact. Sean Kenny Dowell, Tupou combo was deadly. That was deadly. I would personally, if you asked me, who is the better winger between Tupou and Alex Johnson, I'm taking Tupou. That doesn't mean that I think that Tupou is a better try scorer than him. I just think he's a more well-rounded winger. You know, and I haven't even named, like, what about Eric Groth? Eric Groth, junior or senior, take your pick. So the Storm are first tackle here, and they're at their 40. They actually received a penalty just then to get themselves out of the 20, and it'll be second tackle for them at the 45. For me, Sully is a put your head down and get the hard runs done, but he does have an error in him. Yeah, for sure, but I was talking about his aggression in regards to, like, fighting and whatnot, rather than the way he runs the ball. The way he runs the ball is real aggressive. I'm talking about off-the-ball kind of deal. Oh, Lisati with a great run here inside the attack and 30 for the Storm. That was a fantastic run, post-contact, about 8 metres there. Harry Grant goes out to the right to Cameron Munster. Munster then to Stefano Utuikamanu. And Utuikamanu gets the offload away to Josh King. Josh King, he runs it himself to the 25 on fifth tackle. 25 minutes left here in the first half. And now Harry Grant to Jerome Hughes. Hughes now puts that ball up. The chase through here from the Storm. Knock on from the Dragons. And that's a try for Jack Howarth, maybe. They're going to say back off the Storm. Try time for the Storm. Jack Howarth just randomly ends up with the ball here and scores. Randomly ends up with the ball here and scores. Luca Travis, I think the Dragons could be above top 4 after almost beating the Bulldogs in Vegas. No way. Sorry, man. No, I can't. Above top 4? No, not for me, but... Anyway, that's going to be, I think, yeah, knocked back here from Will Warbrick, and then it goes straight into Jack Howard's hands, and Evil score in the corner. The Bunny says, did you ever play rugby league during your days as a kid in teenage years? I played pretty much every sport, man. I played rep as a young lad for rugby. And yeah, Will Warbrick knocks that ball back, and then Gutho knocks it on, and then it's Jack Howarth who gets it and scores in the corner. 12-0 with a kick to come. 12-0 with a kick to come. The Storm look on fire attacking-wise this year. They just know how to score points as we speak. But again, they're coming up against teams that you would expect them to beat by big margins, like on their own merit. You expect them to beat by big margins, but they are looking very ominous for this 2026 season right now, Melbourne. They are looking very ominous. But no, I played rep as a young lad, rubber union. I was getting good at cricket, but then I left it. I played rep water polo. Played a little bit of league, but not as much league. We'll set it to a Valentine home score a try. Would like to see it. King Quinn, there is only one S in Storm, man. There is no plural in Storm. It's the only team with no plural, so we'll see you in 5 minutes. That is the rule here on the channel. If you say Storm with 2 S's and say the Storms, well, you get timed out for 5 minutes because that is not how you spell their name. But Nick Meaney to make this a 14-0 game from the right-hand sideline. Nehemiah says, let's go. Sully definitely a quike off the field. That's what I think full-time stories. That's why I don't know what Lagan's saying. And they'll go... No, Meaney's missed that kick badly. So say it's 12-0 here with 17 minutes gone in the first half. Wendell, Saylor and Lottie. Yeah, they're two massive. They're two massive Broncos guys. Massive. Mitchell says, not for Luma. No, I'm not even reading the rest of your comment out. Lagan says, don't know if this is hot or not, but Tupou in my eyes is the greatest winger of all time. That is a very, very boiling take. I really respect Daniel Tupou, and I think he's been a great winger, but best of all time? Come on. Best of all time, Daniel Tupou. We're talking all time. You've got the Daniel Tupou as the greatest winger of all time. Sean says, well, when AJ retires, that will be the new total that needs to be beaten. How many years does he have left in him? Well, I think, yeah, what is he, like 32, 33? So, not many, but also he's still probably got a good couple. So, first tackle here for the Storm, and now second. Harry Grant brings it out to the 25. Peter says, Manu is the only winger to score 10 tries in a season, 10 seasons in a row. Get around Manu, what a player. Who do you guys, I want you to comment in the chat, who is your... If you had to select your 2 best wingers of all time for your team, you're starting a new franchise, you've got a pick of anybody in history, who are your 2 wingers that you were taking all time? Put in the chat. Yeah, can't forget the Morris twins either, Tony. This is what I'm saying, like, it's a lot easier for you guys right now to think of all the teams because I'm speaking and commentating and all that type of stuff, but there is so many that I'm not even thinking about right now that deserve to get shouted out. So fifth tackle, the Storm whack this ball down to the 5, and Tui Pelotu, he will get the ball and bring it out to the 12 to the 15 on first tackle. 18 minutes gone. Moja Hengard says, oh boy, another terrible season. It is not looking pretty, but also let's just relax a little bit. Let's just relax a little bit for the time being. Satu 2 will be at the 30 on third tackle. Saylor and Felt. You got Kyle Felt there, Matty Smiley? You're taking Kyle Felt. Is that what you're saying? Nightingale was a good one, Coach. Yeah, I love a bit of Manu Vadavai shout, though. So that's going to 6 again here for the Dragons, and there'll be second tackle now to 50. Second tackle. Natalie says, please switch to video, please. Well, due to broadcast restrictions, and you're looking for an illegal stream. So my advice is probably not, because I'll get banned. Second tackle here for the Dragons, and they're going to be at the 30, and you know that because you are looking for a illegal stream. Second tackle. Third tackle now for the Dragons. They're 25 metres out. Emre Gula brings it to the 20 on fourth tackle now. Wendell and GI when he was on the wing. GI, for me, I definitely see more as a centre and a fullback, but I know he did play wing. I know he did play 5. He played everything. Knock on even the Storm. Dragons get a fresh set of 6. 18 metres out. Here we go, St George. Show us some attack here with Daniel Atkinson and Kyle Flanagan. Show us your attack. Show us your kicking game. Let's see Flanagan earning his spot here. First tackle for the Dragons. 13 metres out. Marcus Byer. What a player, Richard. What a player Marcus Byer was. Vunivalu was fantastic as well while he was there. Second tackle. What about Nandruku from the Raiders back in the day? No one Nandruku. 20 minutes gone in the first half. 20 minutes to go in the first half. Hit that like button, guys. Subscribe if you're new around here. 6 again for St George. Atkinson gives it off. They go to Flanagan, to Gutho, to Moses Sully, Tui Balatu with the try top of the Dragons. There is the money man, Tui Balatu. He will score on his 12-4 with a kick to come. Tui Balatu. 12-4 to the Storm. 20 minutes to go in the first half, and the conversion will be coming up. Give me my money. Moses, yes, let's say, just relax, man. Just relax. Still very early in the season. But that is a good start for the Dragons because that's their first attacking opportunity, and they've scored straight away against this Storm team who only gave up that one try to the Parramatta Eels last week. And would you have it, it's on the exact same side as where the Eels scored. So that means for mine, I'm looking more so at this combo of Jack Howarth and Will Warbrick defensively as teams looking to target that side because the Eels scored there and the Dragons have just scored there as well. The Dragons have just scored there as well. Natalie Thomas says, show me. But show you the game. My advice to you is get a job. Peter says, Chariots of Fire was pretty quick back in the day. Chariots of Fire? Luke says, sorry, mistake before. I meant to say Dragons above bottom 4. Again, it's you need to wait 5 to 7 rounds. I will need to wait and see because I can see where you're coming from, but I think it's way too early to pick that out, especially considering that I keep referring to the fact that the Bulldogs are very heavily criticised for their attack, didn't kick the ball once on fifth tackle and didn't look great on attack at all against the Dragons, whilst the Dragons were given a lot of positive raps for how they defended the Bulldogs. But it's like if people are insulting the Dogs for their attack and saying that it's pathetic and it's really poor, and that's not necessarily untrue based off of the recent years, but then people are happy to say the Dragons are very good defensively. But it's like, well, if the Bulldogs' attack is awful and they don't kick the ball on fifth, well, then why is the Dragons' defense great? Surely they're just doing their job. So that's why I want to see their defense in a game like today, where they've already given up 12 points, mind you. Could have been 14, but 12 points. I need to see them today. I need to see them over these next few rounds because it is still super, super early. But I don't hate the opinion that they could be above the bottom 4. Val Holmes will miss the kick, so we'll stay 12-4 here with 19 minutes to go the first half. I don't hate it, but I just don't agree with it just yet. Imagine having Semi and Manu on the wings. Oh, Semi Radradra and Manu Vatavai, that is tasty. But then again, I'd like a little bit of Jared Hayne and Manu Vatavai on the wings. How good would that be? Manu with that strength and just... Oh, he was a tough player with the Warriors. And then Jared Hayne, the versatility, and he was a fantastic winger. Great fullback, but a fantastic winger too. I think he mainly played on the wing for New South Wales, didn't he? I think he was mainly on the wing. 19 minutes left into the first half. Storm to kick this ball off. Lagan says, well, it's like Tupou's prime numbers, and even his numbers today are out of this world, and has won 3 NRL premierships, has won an Origin series, will most likely end up top 2 try scorer of all time. Okay, like I see the point for him being underrated. I could see that. Best winger of all time. Premierships is a real tough one, man, because premierships comes down to the team. Like we've seen guys like Jared Hayne, for example, play for the Eels and do as much as he possibly could and be as good as he was for a team that isn't as successful as the Roosters as a collective. So it's like it's really tough to use premierships as an example, especially for a winger. A halfback is a great example of premierships because they're usually the key cog there. 4th tackle for the Dragons to the 45 on their own side of the field. They're usually the key cog in the spine, but a winger, it's like, well, you're giving Tupou the premierships there, but you can't really give those premierships to... certain other wingers that have been absolutely unbelievable in their time too. 5th tackle here for the Dragons at their 50, and it will be Daniel Atkinson who will whack this ball down to... That's out in the full. That is a bad kick from Atkinson, and the Storm will go back on the attack at the 50. Back on the attack at the 50. Bro said Union. Who said Union? I don't think it's that hot of a take. I think it's a hot take for best of all time. I do, but I don't hate the underrated nature of what Daniel Tupou actually is. Wendell and Zakiri, what a combo, Dragon Rugby League. What a combo. So the Melbourne Storm, Stefano Utuikamanu, he is at the 40 with 17 and a half minutes to go the first half. Okay, let's see this defense here. Biffo, Utuikamanu and Lucian Leilua. Here's a bit of a shove. The 6 again coming up for the Storm as well. Joe Chan's now 33 metres out here from the line. All right, Dragons, show me this defense that everyone's talking about. Show me this defense. Harry Grant off to Josh King, and Josh King is going to be 25 metres away here from the line. Haven't seen Munster really get involved too much just yet. Jerome Hughes has mainly been the guy there to get their attack flowing on that right-hand side for their tries. I'll be Tuikami Kamitha. Back to Harry Grant, now off to Cameron Munster. He's 3rd tackle. He's going to push away from 1. And he's going to bring this ball to the 12. Not much going on there for Cameron Munster. 4th tackle. Harry Grant, he'll fake it left, he'll go to the right. Jerome Hughes kicks that ball through, and that's going to be Dragons ball as it gets kicked straight into the breadbasket of Luciano Leilua. Dives on the ball, and that is Dragons ball, their own 10. Richard says Jared Hayne was the most complete player, could seriously play 1 of 13. I don't think we're putting Jared Hayne into the 8 or the 10. I don't think we're doing that. But I can definitely hear the versatility of Jared Hayne. He could play literally anyway. Greg Inglis was the same though. You could make that if you're going to argue that for Jared Hayne. I'd probably say Greg Inglis for mine. He was a great 5'8", he was a great fullback, he was a great centre, and he was a great winger. Like dead set, Greg Inglis could play anywhere in that back line. He'd be one of the greatest players of all time in that position. So fourth tackle now for the Dragons, and they're going to be at the 40. That's a knock on from St George. The pressure was just too much there on the quick passing. Nikamani rushed in to try and make the pressure too hot, and he did his job well. Val Holmes knocks this ball on, and the Storm will get the ball on the attacking 40 again. Yeah, Val Holmes just trying to get that quick pass across the Setu too, but just too limited of a time frame, and good defensive play there from Nikamani. Jess says, Martin Afire back in the day was a great winger. Imagine Sammy and Lomax as a wing pair. Don't start me. Don't start me on that Lomax cat again. Brighton says, you're right. I think Blaze means if you were to pick two wingers for a game to save your life, would you be picking Tupou over the other greats? That's a great way to put it, Brighton. That's why I say draft. Like, if you're getting a draft, and this goes for everyone in the chat, if you have one game to save your life, you need the two best wingers of all time to save your life. Who are the two wingers? I don't think you're selecting Tupou, but I do think that Tupou is a fantastic winger. So first tackle here at the 33. It's not an insult to say that I don't have him as the best of all time, but still respect him as a great player. Second tackle now for the Melbourne Storm, and they're going to be at the 25. 15 minutes to go here in the first half. Harry Grant off to Jerome Hughes. Jerome Hughes underneath Stefano Utukamanu, and Utukamanu is 15 metres away on third tackle. Manu and Wendell. Oh, that's a pairing, man. That is a pairing. Oh, he's lost the ball there, Stefano. Yeah, no, it's just a lost ball. That's a correct call. That is a very typical way of Stefano Utukamanu losing the ball. That doesn't surprise me. And the Dragons will let off the hook there, 15 metres out. Tupou has been very consistent for over 10 years. I think he's averaged over 150 metres almost every year. Now you have To'o averaging 200 metres every year, actually same. Because that's the thing. That's a great point you make there, home in the NRL, while we're waiting for the scrum to be packed. That's the thing. So if we're happy to say that, well, Tupou deserves to be, like, for example, Larkin said the greatest winger of all time, which I disagree with, but why would you not include Brian To'o based off the fact that you've said that Tupou's won 3 premierships? Well, Brian To'o's going to won 4 premierships back to back. And then, you know, he's not as heavy of a try scorer, but again, if he put him in another team, I'm sure he scores more tries because the Panthers are so versatile where they can score tries and so quality. But overall, I would say Brian To'o is a winger that I would take over Tupou long term as well. And also has won Origin series. Won't necessarily end up as a top 2 try scorer of all time, but he's got plenty of years left in him. Gutho's away, hit the 40 at 35, taken down, fit tackle. So fifth tackle for the Dragons at the 40, and Carl Flanagan is going to put that ball down to the 5, where Fa'alongo picks it up, brings it out to the 10. Now he's 12 metres out, first tackle. Aspect says, Gutho is the worst fullback I've seen play ever. Look, I think there's plenty of fullbacks over the years that you would say is worse, but he hasn't been as good here for the Dragons as he was at the Eels. However, that was a good play from him just then when he made that breakthrough. Third tackle here at the 33. But you know what to expect out of Gutho. You're not going to see him be the most X-factor, crucial player that goes and scores all your tries and wins you the games. You're going to expect him to be the real defensive workhorse and put in the effort. But again, it's not as much of the Dragons as it was when he was at the Eels. Fifth tackle here at the 47 for the Storm. At least the Dragons have held themselves well since that early onslaught from Melbourne. And high kick there, but Tui Peloto has been safe at the back here today. He'll grab the ball to 15. It'll be first tackle. Yeah, I guess his only good Origin career was 2014. Nonetheless, played 10 Origin games. And I will also say with Daniel Tupou, he had a really good carry-back game, but a lot of people criticise him for that game as well because he did struggle in other parts of that game because it's the same thing that I could say for AJ Brimson, where AJ Brimson's played for Queensland and won, but he was actually quite criticised for his performances in those Origin games. Fourth tackle now at the 40. Logan says, hey, Albert, Jonah played Union, you idiot. Oh, hold on. Albert says Jonah Lomu. Well, let's not call him an idiot. 6 again here for the Dragons, and Clint Gutho will get this ball to the 50 on first tackle. Jonah Lomu was a winger in Union, though, Albert, yeah. Unbelievable player, don't get me wrong, but he was, Rugby Union. So it'll be Kyle Flanagan off to Luciano Leilua, and he'll be at the 40 on the Storm side of the field. Here's an attacking opportunity here for Melbourne. 5 set restarts for St George. 3 set restarts here for Melbourne. Ill discipline today, Melbourne. And Toby Couchman, 33 metres away from the line on third tackle. Greg Inglis and Jared Hayne. Yeah. Oh, right through the middle is Couchman. They give it off. Here's a chance for the Dragons. Oh, it's a great scramble defense from the Dragons. From the Storm, sorry. Great scramble defense. Damien Cook quickly. 4 tackle, 10 metres out. They go quickly. Daniel Atkinson. Oh, my gosh. Daniel Atkinson. That is an absolute pearl of a try from Atkinson to Valentine Holmes. So Valentine Holmes will score. What a pass from Daniel Atkinson. Look at the way that he steps onto the inside, draws the defence to come in, and then just across the body, massive whack of a pass, pinpoint perfection of a pass to Valentine Holmes. That is a great sign for what that halfback can bring to the St George Illawarra Dragons after his switch from the Sharks. Look at that, steps. Look at that pass, bro. That is a rocket of a pass from Atkinson. You're right, Mitchell. What a brilliance that is. That is fantastic. Yeah, they're talking about this, how hard that ball is to pass. This is like, if you're an NFL fan, it's like a quarterback throwing across the body. So you don't ever want to see a quarterback kind of run out to, the right and then have to throw across like, what is it? No. Anyway, you don't want to see him throw across the body. You know what I'm talking about. That is what we've just seen here, because he's cut back into the left, and then whilst his body is shaping to the left, he has got that ball completely over to the other side with a pinpoint perfection pass and cut out a player and over the top of 2 Storm players. That is how good that pass was. And that is what the Dragons needed out of their halfback position. That is exactly what they need. Maraki says, El Masri and Halligan. Oh, El Masri. Gee whiz, what a player. El Masri, especially, you've got the kicking boots there as well. Well, you've got 2... Have you just gone with the best 2 kickers in the game, conversion takers in the game there, with El Masri and Halligan? But no, they were unreal. Jess says, Jai Fields doing a great job at Wigan, good fullback. Brighton says, Toto was on pace to get 200 tries for sure if he plays until he's 35, 36, it's doable. Yeah, well, you'd probably argue he's the greatest winger of all time if he can do that. What's he on now? How many tries has Brian Toto got now? So Val Holmes from the right side, he will miss the kick though. So their kicking game today hasn't been great at all on the conversions. 12-8 with 10 minutes to go the first half, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new around here. Don't forget, belter of a game right after this between the Sharks and the Storm, but not the Sharks and the Storm, Sharks and the Panthers at Bathurst. Well, the Dragons, at least they're making a game of this right now, and look, it could have been 14-12 if they all got their conversions. 1 missed conversion for the Storm, 2 missed conversions there for the Dragons. But with the missed conversion for the Storm, it could have been 12-12 if they had got their kicks. Val Holmes is usually pretty good with these kicks. Brighton says, oh, that's right. Aspect says those 2 mistakes are inexcusable. Brighton says, have we got a game here? Well, it looks like it right now. Dragons, with the ball out of their own in goal, they bring it out of the 10. The biggest thing with the Dragons, though, is that they lost that game by 1 to the Dogs. And now if they lose this game by a close margin again, are they still just the same team as last year, where they lose so many games by a close margin? That second tackle here for the Dragons, and they're coming out of their own 20. Now it's third tackle at the 30. That's my biggest thing. It's like, I'm happy with how the Dragons have gone to this game, and I was content with how they went in the Bulldogs game. So it's good signs, but I just know this Dragons team, and I think we all know what we're talking about here, where the Dragons just love to lose games by small margins, and that's why that third last placing last year didn't make sense. So the Dragons are going to be at the 40 on fifth tackle, because they had a lot of close games against good opposition that made you think they're a better team than they were last year. So I'll get that ball to Daniel Atkinson, and Atkinson whacks that ball up to the 10, where Warbrick grabs it under a lot of pressure. It'll be first over the Storm at their own 10 metres. Rod Wishart, Wendell or Manu. Yeah, great stuff. But I feel like now we've also moved past guys like Eric Growth Sr. and Eric Growth Jr. that deserve those recommendations as well. Storm, third tackle inside their own 18. This is really good stuff from the Dragons at the moment. Nick Meaney gets this ball to the 30. Anstey says, game on, boys and girls. Game on, son. Game on. Munster. He'll get it off to Cooper Clark, who had his debut last week, had a good game, and now he's at the 40. Apparently at one stage he was 150 kilos, Cooper Clark, and now he's lost all his weight whilst playing for the Storm in the preseason and training up for his debut, and then last week came in and killed it. So Tuipulotu, he'll bring his ball out here to the 20. He's still like 118 kilos or something like that. Peter says, Dale Shearer and Michael Hancock are pretty good for the Broncos. See, that was a little bit before my time, but obviously a lot of the older generation fans of the game will remember and respect those kind of guys. So I'll go out to the left-hand side, and now the Dragons will be at the 42 on third tackle. Sam Jenkins says, don't worry, guys, Hetherington's going to carry the Storm to a win. Well, right now, the Storm are really struggling. Fourth tackle for the Dragons, and Damien Cook gets him to the 40. Toby Couchman to the 30 on fifth tackle. No, gets the offload away. Gutho flicks it across here to Jaden Sewer. Sewer's going, flicks it off. Valentine Holmes bobbles it, but he catches it to the 30, and it'll be fifth tackle here. Hancock was solid. Yeah, the Broncos back then, everyone was just solid at all times. That's probably going to be a penalty to the Dragons. And, yep, penalty to the Dragons. That was contacting the kicker's leg. So the Dragons are going to get a great opportunity here to take the lead. Definitely to tie it up, but to take the lead. Hubbard says, how's the goal kicks been? I just turned on the TV. Well, obviously not good. There's only been one conversion made so far in this game. But that is a penalty gift there from Munster on Daniel Atkinson. That is a bad penalty to give away. And it's still under pressure here. Toles ran about 3,000 metres last year. 1,000 of those were after contact. He's a beast. Oh, 100%. He's unbelievable. He is unbelievable. So first tackle now for the Dragons, and they're 7 metres away here from the line. If they had if they had got one of their conversions, they would have gone for the 2 there. Lucian Leilua, strong run. 2 metres away from the line. And that's going to be second tackle. Damien Cook, he goes out the back to Carl Flanagan. Flanagan here at the 10. He goes at himself. Carl Flanagan! Oh, so close. Third tackle, 3 metres away from the line. 5 minutes 44 to go here in the first half. And Flanagan is down. God bless him. I hope he's okay. He is writhing in pain at the moment. And now he's on his haunches and he's grabbing it. Oh, please don't tell me he's grabbing his left knee. I don't know what the problem is right now. Maybe his ankle or something like that. You've got a player, Josh King, who's kind of come down the back of his lower leg. There's no bad tackle, but Carl Flanagan's grabbing at his lower left leg. Oh no. And especially considering he's touching his knee, you hate to see this. I don't think this is a hip drop tackle though, but this is what they've called in recent years. They have called it as a hip drop tackle in recent years. Oh, man. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's a classic hip drop, but they do usually call that. But they're not going to call it here today, and I do agree with that. I don't think that is a hip drop. I don't think that is a hip drop. 86 tries at the moment. Max season tries of 23. How old is he, Brian Toll? How old is he? So they'll go out to the left, and Dragons are 4 tackle, 2 metres away, so close. Josh Kerr on for the Dragons, back after his stint at the Dolphins. And now he's here at the Dragons. Atkinson steps, Atkinson goes, he'll be 5 metres out. Atkinson just always seems to play the Storm well. Remember when he did that, had that fantastic game down in Melbourne? Oh, 6 again, no, Atkinson's screaming at his knee. No, Dragons, no. No, both halves have gone down clutching at their knees in the space of 2 seconds. Oh no, this one's looking worse than Flanagan's because Atkinson is screaming. Oh no! Who lands on the lower leg there, Jack Hetherington. Oh, this is brutal stuff for St George right now. They've lost Flanagan. I don't know if he's still on the field if Flanagan, but I don't know if Atkinson's going to be getting through this moment here for the Dragons. Yeah, King Tagia is on the bench, BL, but you've also just seen Carl Flanagan have a knee/leg injury. Is he going to get up here, Atkinson? I don't know. He's still down right now. Man, that's brutal. Toto turns 28 in August. He's still got plenty of time in him, but well on pace at 200 might be a little bit hard. So he is up and playing, good to see. So Daniel Atkinson is up and jogging, at the very least. I haven't seen Flanagan yet, though. Now, Flanagan is there. Okay, so both your halves are on the field. First tackle here for the Dragons, and they're going to be 10 metres out now. Second tackle for the St George. Damien Cook out the back to Hamish Stewart, then Carl Flanagan, Luciano Lewis, short ball to Moses Sully gets it across here. Gutho! Clint Gutho with the try, and it's 12-12 with a kick to come in a corner. Wow, Dragons, they were getting pumped early. Well, St George, they have come back in and tied this game up, and there's a conversion from the sideline incoming. Well, Mo, this is why I say, just wait here, son. Just wait a little bit. Because the Storm are not looking too crash hot right now. And the Dragons, they're red hot in this game. And this is what bogey curses do, man. The Dragons have beaten the Storm 2 years in a row. Well, they have a chance to take the lead here going into half time despite being down 12-0 at one stage. Game on, seriously. Game on, baby. Game on. Noah Flanagan, he probably still wouldn't have picked Ilias next week if he was still at the gong. That is true. He wasn't a big fan of Ilias. So try time for Gutho. Aspects, you still reckon Gutho was the worst fullback you've ever watched of all time? Stop being so reactionary. Gutho will score right in the corner. It's a good play by him. And honestly, Fardlongo should be warned about coming in with his legs there. That was very Billy Slater-esque. Matty Utai was a good winger back in the day. God bless him, because he's had... yes, they're talking about him coming with his legs just then too in the commentary. God bless Matty Utai with what happened with him recently. Cost us a try, scored. Made up for it. You said that he's the worst fullback of all time. One, he's nowhere even close to the worst fullback in the game right now. But this is why you got to stop being so reactionary. Yeah, you can be critical and say, oh, that was bullshit in regards to his defense, or he made a mistake there. But like, worst fullback of all time is just ridiculous. Ridiculous. So Val Holmes from the sideline, in front of the faithful out there on the Wollongong Hill. And you will see Val Holmes take the lead for St George. Bang, bang. 14-12 to the Dragons with 3 minutes to go here in the first half. You don't have to be sorry for it, Aspects, but I will reply to it. You don't need to be sorry at all, man. X Factor says, I was worried last week for Harry Grant, thinking he might have had a much worse injury than just cramp, but he's out there backing up, so hopefully it's not too serious. Well, yeah, I don't think it's serious at all. He's out here, he's playing. But I will say I've been disappointed with Cameron Munster here today. I don't think that he's really turned up in this first half for Melbourne, and I need to see him do a lot more in this second half when he comes back out. I do think he's been overall quite poor, and Jerome Hughes was the key influential figure in the early part of this game, and they're just not really showing too much in regards to... Like, if you're not having your spine click in Melbourne, that's what the problem is right now for mine this year. Parramatta, all the spine clicked. If the spine don't click in a game, they probably just go on, oh, good run there from Leilua. Couldn't have holding the ball. And now the Dragons, they're going to be at the 40 on third tackle. I've missed a comment from Nath here. What's the comment that Nath has dropped? I can't see a comment from Nath, Mitchell. Jada says, Fardlongo will score a try to make up for it. Coincidentally, here's my last leg. Of course, you think he's going to score a try then. 2 minutes 22 to go here, the first half. Dragons lead 14 points to 12. How good is Rugby League? How good is Rugby damn well League? That is a high-pressure kick. Storm will drop the ball backwards. Meany to Fardlongo. Lucky Fardlongo was waiting for that one. The Couchman boys are so good for the Dragons. Yeah, I think they're solid. Yeah. Oh, he's lost the ball there. He's had a strip, though. It is going to be a strip here. That did definitely look like a strip off of first glance, and they'll get out of trouble here, Storm, but they're not having it all their way right now. The Dragons are really firing up and really getting into this. Yeah, Meany just drops that ball to Fardlongo. He's very lucky Fardlongo was there, otherwise the Dragons would have scored again. But, yeah, Couchman's going to give up a penalty. Look at him. He's just trying to look at where the ball is. Like, their hands are all over the ball from all those players there. Couchman didn't strip this, but he actually wanted to strip it. Dragons playing with confidence now. They are. They're looking pretty good. This is how many points they scored against the Bulldogs. This has been a much more... I feel like this has been a much more positive game for the Dragons so far than we saw from that Bulldogs game. Milky Storm. Well, I did think that was a strip. So that'll be Hetherington, who will get this ball to the 45 on second tackle. 1 minute to go. Now get up to Jerome Hughes. Hughes then to Joe Chen. He'll be at the 50 on third tackle. 54 seconds left here in the first half. That's going to be a penalty to the Storm. Oh my gosh, Dragons. You are allowing the Storm every opportunity to get a try before half time. It's first tackle for Melbourne at the 33. And Harry Grant rolls it out, gives it off to Cameron Munster. Munster to Cooper Clark, and Cooper Clark is 25 metres out. Oh, you've given away two really bad penalties here right at the end of the first half. Don't give away a penalty here to make it a tie game. You deserve to be leading at half time, St George. And that's going to be Ativalu Lasati, who'll bring this ball to the 13 on third tackle. 25 seconds left of the first half. Storm, what can you do here? Can you save your bacon? 6 again, not that it really matters. Cooper Clark with a strong run. He's going to be 4 metres away from the line. 15 seconds left. You'll probably get 2 plays here, Storm. If you're quick about it. You're not going too quick. Oh, that's a prime Harry Grant try. Oh, that's a prime Harry Grant try, man. That is a prime-time Harry Grant try. When the going gets tough, the winners, they find a way to win. And Harry Grant is just going to scoot from dummy half right over the line. That is a TRY try time for the Melbourne Storm, and they will take the lead going into half-time. That is exactly what Harry Grant does. When the going gets tough, the winners win. And Harry Grant, he just knows how to get it going when the going gets tough. Harry Grant right over the line. And yeah, Dan Atkinson did his best there. Like, Dan Atkinson's coming out to the right. Hamish Stewart bites off on the inside, and Couchman did his best to stop it, but Hamish Stewart just got done over there he didn't protect the inside. And he's young, you expect that from your inexperience against Harry Grant, is one of the most experienced hookers in the game and the best hooker in the game. Mice is on the buzzer. On the buzzer, that is brutal because the Dragons did deserve the lead at half-time, but they also gave away those 2 late penalties just then, which allowed the Storm to score that. So that is on the Dragons for giving up that try as well. It's not like the Storm just completely earned their way up the field just then and scored. The Dragons allowed them into the position, and the Storm earned the try through Harry Grant taking that quick little scoot. But I feel like that was really set up by Dragons, ill-disciplined in the middle of the field to give the position to the Storm right on half-time. And Nick Meaney will get the kick, so it is 18-14 to the Melbourne Storm right on half-time. Great first half we've watched here. It's a great first half that we have watched here between these two teams. Good to see the Dragons having a truly earned crack right now, but they are down 18-14. And it was that try right on half-time that broke their hearts, and hopefully they can find that confidence and motivation from this first half going into the second half, that we can see an absolute game out of this one. But all right, guys, let's get into the half-time stats to see how it all is panning out. Don't forget, later on tonight, we have the Panthers versus the Sharks in Bathurst, which is going to be a belter of a game. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new around here. Let's do it. So the Dragons, 14 points. Christian Tuipulotu, Valentine Holmes, and Clint Gutherson have scored the tries, but they're only 1 from 3 in regards to the conversions. And then for the Storm, down on 16 points, Will Warbrick, Jack Howarth, and Harry Grant with the tries. Meaney, 1 from 2 with the conversions, but they do have a penalty goal to make up for that. Now we go to the stats possession-wise. 56% possession to the Dragons, 44% possession to the Storm. This is why I said the Dragons probably deserve to be in the lead at half-time. They were actually playing as the better team for the probably 25 minutes. After the first 15 minutes was probably all Storm, and then after that it's been all Dragons. And the Dragons, just for mine, were collectively the better team in that first half, but yet they're still down 18-14. That's a major concern. 56%, that probably evens out to 50-50 by the end of the game at the very least. It's tough to see the Dragons come back from that if that is the case and they don't maintain that same possession count. The time possession is 14 minutes and 7 seconds for the Dragons, 11 minutes and 8 seconds for the Storm. So very, very bare minimum here, 25 minutes and 15 seconds. That is very, very bare minimum. You want to see at least 25 minutes. At least we're seeing the 25 minutes of game time here, but you would like to see a more healthy number of like 27, 28 kind of deal. Completion rate. You need to see at least 80% here as a success marker. The Dragons are at 80% on the dot, so they are having a successful time in regards to keeping the ball. 17 from 21. It's not outstanding, but it's hitting the marker of 80%. But you know what is outstanding? 95% for the Melbourne Storm. That is absolutely spectacular. 95%, 19 from 20 for the Melbourne Storm. That is just unbelievable stuff there from Melbourne. Just quickly here, Michael says, Gus tweeted out fake news apparently. Apparently spoken to Terry and his managers today. I don't believe a word that Gus said. He always says just absolute nonsense in the media. Whether it's true or not true, we'll wait and see to find out. But Gus Gould tweeting about something saying fake news doesn't mean anything. He also said that he's never heard or spoken to Lachlan Galvin before. We knew that was absolute bullshit. But anyway, let's get back into the stats here. So runs-wise for the Dragons, 92 runs for the Dragons for 906 run meters. That is very good numbers. That is very, very close to 10 meters on average per run, which is what you're looking for. That's a fantastic amount of meters. They are only 14 meters behind the 10 meters on average per run. So you'd be pretty happy to give them that average. And then for the Storm, they're at 66 runs with 580 run meters. So they are 80 run meters behind the 10 meters on average per run that you are looking for. 10 meters on average per run is well behind there. So 80 behind for them, 14 behind for the Dragons. it's really well in favour of St George here, and that's why. How are they losing this game right now based off of these statistics? If you try to give the extra 26 runs to the Storm to even out the runs department, they're still well behind. They still would be well behind. And then you go to the post-contact meters of 300 for the Dragons, 226 for the Storm. I think that if you give those extra 26 runs, you are probably looking at a pretty even, if not maybe slightly in advantage of the Storm, but 26 runs, no, they'd probably be more so around the 280, 290, so they'd still be below the Dragons in that department. So the Dragons are doing better in regards to the run meters, better in regards to post-contact meters, and just getting a lot more ball right now. Line breaks is 4-2 to the Dragons. Tackle breaks is 20-16 to the Dragons. Average set distance, this is a kicker, 25 metres and below is, to turn the stream off, it's pathetic. 25 to 30 is disgusting. 30 to 35 is underwhelming. 35 to 40 is hitting the marker. 40 to 45 is great. 45 to 50 is fantastic. And 50 plus is basically perfect. Average set distance here for the Dragons is 43.17, which means they are in the mid area of great. They are getting a great deal of metres per set. 43 metres per set is very, very good. Whilst the Storm are not even at 30. They're at 29.05. They are in the disgusting category. Upper end disgusting. They're not even underwhelming. They're 6 metres away from being at hitting the marker of 35. That's not good enough. That is 14 metres separating the two of them. The Dragons are getting 14 extra metres per set right now on average. And yet the Storm were up 18-14. This is why I said the Dragons should have been in the lead. And that's why that halftime try is really crucial to look at. Average play the ball speed, 3.8 seconds there for the Dragons, 3.61 seconds for the Storm. So 3.19 and below is extremely fast, 3.2 to 3.39 is fast, 3.4 to 3.59 is average, 3.6 to 3.79 is slow, and then 3.8 and above is extremely slow. England 4 seconds and above. 3.8 seconds for the Dragons is extremely slow. As a really, really slow play the ball speed. You can't really get too much slower than that unless you're playing over there in England. Whilst the Storm are at 3.61, which is also slow. It's not average. It's not extremely slow. It is slow. At the lower end of it, though, they are 0.19 seconds behind. No, sorry, the Storm are 0.19 seconds in front of where the Dragons are right now. So it's pretty similar. But at the end of the day, both of these are quite slow in the play the ball speeds. Now, offloads is 5-3 to the Dragons. They get more offloads away there. Force dropouts 1-0 to the Storm, so it means they're in attacking range. Kick defusal is 67% for the Dragons, 60% here for the Storm. And then you go to the effective tackle percentage. Now, defensively, this game is actually pretty solid overall. It's not too bad. For the Dragons, anyway. Maybe the Storm, definitely in the underwhelming category. But 85% is and below is really bad. It's disgusting. 85% to 88% is underwhelming. 88% to 90% is hitting the marker, and 90% and above is really, really good. The Dragons are at 88.89%, so they're hitting the marker in the middle range of that. They're doing their job. 168 tackles made for 16 missed tackles and 5 ineffective. The average amount of missed tackles is 15 to 17, so they're right in the bang smack middle of that with 16. And the ineffective tackles is 5, which the average is 5 to 7, so they're on the lower end of the average there. Very just average for the Dragons defensively, but they are hitting their marker with the 168 tackles made, 21 bad tackles in the first half. And then for the Melbourne Storm, on the other hand, 87.19%. They are in the underwhelming category, on the upper end of it, but still not hitting the marker of 88%. 177 tackles made, so 9 more tackles made than the Dragons, but 20 missed tackles and 6 ineffective. So they've had 4 more missed tackles, which puts them 3 above the average of 15 to 17. It puts them at 20, that's 3 above, and then the ineffective tackles of 6 is 1 above the Dragons, and it is bang smack in the middle of that average of 5 to 7. So 26 bad tackles in the first half of the Storm, 21 bad tackles in the first half of the Dragons. You'd definitely be appreciating that more so from a Dragon side, but it's not like it's out of this world separate between the two. It's not out of this world separate. They're very similar stat lines there defensively, and we wait and see if this can continue. But it's very much they're just both doing their job, but the Storm are still not quite doing their job overall with the 88. But the negative play. Very good number here for the Storm. 3 and under is really good. 4 to 6 is average, and 7 above is awful. The Dragons are at 4, so they are in the middle of the average area, or the very beginning of the average of 4 to 6. It's not too bad, but it's also not great. The Storm are only at 2 errors, so they've been holding the ball really well. This is why they have that 95% completion rate. That is a really good number. We see teams getting 19, 20 errors a game nowadays. They're at 2, which would mean they would need another 18 errors in the second half. That's not even going to be close. So they are looking really good in regards to their ball handling. And this is where the Dragons are struggling. Penalties conceded 4-1 against them. But when you look at the ruck infringements, which is the 6 against, it's 6-4 against the Storm, with the 1 report being for the Dragons. So 8 infringements against the Dragons in this game, whilst there's been 7 infringements against the Storm. So it's very even in regards to the officiating. I haven't seen a problem with the officiating in today's game, which has been really good to say in the first half so far. Looking at these stats, you would probably lean with the Storm being able to get the job done on the basis that they've had less possession, their completion rate's been better, they've had way less run meters, way less post-contact meters, less line breaks, less tackle breaks, way less average set distance, a slightly faster play the ball speed, but less offloads, worse defense on an effective tackle percentage, more missed tackles, more ineffective tackles, and yet they're up 18-14. They are winning 18-14, which tells you the tenacity of this side and tells you kind of what we're looking at with how these two teams overall do play. The Storm can play poorly and still find a way to win the game. And I don't think the Storm are playing out of this world right now. They're not looking unbelievably exciting, but yet they're still leading 18-14 due to the brilliance of Harry Grant and also that ill discipline that I just spoke about from the Dragons. It would have been 14 points to 12 going into half-time, but instead they gave away 2 penalties in that last minute, which took the Storm from their own 20 to the attacking 50 to the attacking 20, and then Harry Grant scored. So right now, I would still be leaning with the Storm, despite the fact that the stats are suggesting the Dragons should have been in front at halftime. Seb says, here we go again, not playing the run, morons. Not playing the run, morons? What are you even saying? What's not playing the run, morons, Seb? Expert says, thank you, Harry. Needed that for fantasy. Brighton says, sneaky fake to the right. Read the Dragons' defence like a book. Aspect says, proud of first half. I hope we don't fall off now. Should have been leading. Expert says, I know Panthers have won 9 of the last 10 times they've played the Sharks, but I still wasn't pleased with how we attacked the Broncos. Still seemed we were clunky and had a couple of soft tries. I've tipped the upset there. I've gone with the Sharkies. Michael says, Gus tweeted out fake news. I already read that comment. Gus is bullshit. Said the same shit with Galvin in the past. Never said I believe in Gus. I just don't trust his shit. No, I don't trust. That's what I said. I wasn't having a crack at you. I was just saying that I don't trust Gus. I don't trust Gus. That could easily just be a post being made to settle down the fans, because the fans would be pretty lively right now, knowing Dogs fans too. That would be pretty lively right now in regards to how Bronson Terry, especially with the fact that he was given that lifeline by Canterbury, and now it's like I feel he's off to Melbourne. But yeah, I can understand why the fans would be lively on it. Panthers and Sharks game will be interesting in the daylight. Yeah, well, definitely will be interesting in the daylight. Just too bad it's not going to be in the daylight. It'll be at night time because it's after this game, and we're already getting to the night time. Is close. It's close to night time already. That game will be at night time. It's a 7:30 start game in Bathurst. Dragons, the Storm getting gifted possession down the field. Sure, but at the end of the day, this is what we expect from the Dragons too. They're not the most disciplined side. Matty says, Dragons were my spoon pick. Don't think that's happening. Well, look, let's wait and see, because last year they still came third last, and they did beat the Storm. Last year they came third last, and they were only, 2 wins away from last place? Hold on. 2025. Oh, I've just clicked 2017. 2025, in round 27, they were only 4 points. They only had 2 more wins than the Titans and the Knights. They did beat the Storm last year. Yes, they competed with the Dogs, but there's still question marks around that. The Dragons are this kind of team where they can compete, and they can compete well, but they don't necessarily win the game based off of that. Next week, the Dragons, Next week, the Dragons play against the Parramatta Eels. That is going to be interesting, where you would expect the Dragons to come out firing, but Eels did do well against the Broncos, but the Broncos' defense was awful. Same with the Eels. I don't know how to read that game right now, but knowing the Dragons, they come out and absolutely pump the Eels. Knowing the Dragons. Or they go and lose them. I don't know. I don't know jack shit about the Dragons. I don't think anybody does. They're very inconsistent. You just don't know anything about them, ever. You just don't. Ever. Marcus says, Gus also said he will have breakfast with Cherry tomorrow, which I think he's capping. No, I'm sorry. You probably will have breakfast with Cherry tomorrow to discuss everything that's going on overall. But Hobbit says Dragons need to up the tempo harder. Well, I think they're doing well and truly enough with the tempo. The tempo is not the problem at all. Peter says, Gus isn't being honest. Teams don't normally train on Sunday. I think he is trying to control the narrative. Of course he's trying to control the narrative, because he knows that the Bulldogs fans are very lively and are absolutely firing up right now. Guys, it is half-time right now. They're about to come out for the second half. I'm just going to quickly run off to the bathroom here before we do get underway. We've still got this second half plus the Panthers versus Sharks to come. So hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. Give me 2 seconds here. Just going to quickly run off to the bathroom. Alrighty. They are running back out of the field. The St George Illawarra Dragons are running out in the field. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it. Let's see if they can keep up the good work in regards to the stats in the first half. But then again, the Roosters had really good stats against the Warriors a couple of weeks ago, or last week, sorry, and ended up getting pumped. So stats don't necessarily mean everything. The Dragons are doing well on the stats market. Luciano Leilua has been good today. 9 runs, 80 metres, post contact 35, 11 tackles, and he's run the ball really hard with it. So try predictor has the Storm at 56% for the first try after half time and 44% for the Dragons. And this is why I say this stat predictor, this try predictor, is jack shit. It only goes based off of who is winning, because statistically, based off of the stats of this game, you would probably say the Dragons score next, based off of what we've seen in that first half. But that's going via the score, what the score is. And that is entirely possible and probable that the Storm do score first in the second half. But if you're basing it off the stats, which is what I would expect from a Fox AI predictor, then it would surely be putting the Dragons as the first try scorer, and not just because the team is down, if you're looking at the stats. Second tackle here for the Storm, and they're going to get the 20. But again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Storm score first as well. I just question the point of it when it is literally just tipping the team that is in front. 4th tackle now for the Storm at the 35. Mariki says, don't go anywhere. Our host will be back after a very important pit stop. Exactly right. Exactly right. The 5th tackle for the Storm, and they're going to be at the 40 on their own side of the field. Nightshades, is the Storm getting gifted by the refs again? No, the Dragons have been ill-disciplined. They have been ill-disciplined here today. I do agree that absolutely wasn't a strip in that Dragons versus Bulldogs game, but today the Dragons are gifted that try at halftime to Harry Grant. Tuipulotu will bring that ball to the 25 on first tackle. So if Cowboys make the top 8, it'll be bigger than Panthers coming from dead last to make the prelim. Yeah, I would agree with that. Cowboys don't look anywhere close to a top 8 team at the moment, man. Second tackle, and Tuipulotu, he'll bring this ball to the 40 on third tackle. Penalty in first half Storm, penalty other team end of second half when they're already done. But the penalties are what, 4-2 right now? Like, it's not like it's completely, off it. Dragons get a good offload away. 4th tackle there at the 40. They're making some really great meters, man. Nightshades, have you been watching the game? Or are you just kind of going, I'm not insulting you, but have you been watching the game? The Dragons have been ill-disciplined. 5th tackle here for St George at the 30. And Daniel Atkinson's going to whack this ball down into the corner. Where Tuipulotu catches it. He throws it back onto the inside. No, he's over the sideline. So it'll be Storm ball here at their own 20. I think we have a chance to upset Penrith being in the odd game in Bathurst. I think you have to get the upset. Like, if you think you're a big-time team again this year, who cares if you beat the Titans? Who cares if you beat the Knights? Who gives a shit if you beat the Tigers? At the end of the day, you need to start beating these big-time teams on a consistent level if you're going to win the premiership. Yeah, it's great you're in a prelim, but you haven't improved the last couple of years. You've just been the same team. Beat the easy teams. At least last year, you got your 2 wins in the finals to get you through to the prelim, rather than losing in. Well, you've been a straight sets team for a while, but last year you had a really good, really good positive finals run. But at the end of the day, you need to prove yourself against the Panthers right now. Otherwise, I'm going to see you as a similar team to last year. 5th tackle for the last couple of years. 5th tackle now for the Storm. No, gets the offload away. Cooper Clark, Harry Grant, Jerome Hughes, Farlongo to the 20. They get to Jack Howarth, and Jack Howarth is 9 metres away here from the line. Okay, Melbourne Storm. I need to see Munster get involved here. Oh, there's no marker. Oh, Dragons, what are you doing not getting there? There was no marker. How have you... And now Joe Chan. Oh, bro, Joe Chan, you've had a nightmare there. The whole Storm have had a nightmare there on 5th tackle. You had a great chance to score. And Joe Chan just gets the ball and runs it in on 5th tackle and gets taken at the 10. But there was no marker. There was no dummy half, sorry. And I don't know what the Dragons are doing to not get that ball quick enough. Sully was sleeping at the wheel. Second tackle now for the Dragons. They'll be at the 20 on their own side of the field. Brent, if Dragons score first, I want them to change it to Blazers try predictor. Well, I'm not saying the Dragons score first. I'm not even necessarily disagreeing with it. I just question the point of it when it is literally just predicting the team that is leading to score first, because statistically you would lean with the Dragons here. 4th tackle based off the first half statistics. Gutho brings his ball to the 45 on 5th tackle. Certainly a sequence. It definitely was. Which round do you think you can say teams won't make the top 8? Round 7? You'd say no. Way low, later than that. Round 15. Round 15, really. Like, it depends. Like, it's a hard question to answer, man. There's no guaranteed, like, okay, by this time, then these teams won't make the 8. Like, I'll say right now, I don't have the Cowboys make the top 8. I don't have the Titans make the top 8, even though Titans going to win a comp. You know, like, there's clear teams that you wouldn't expect to make the top 8 based off of right this very second, but it's only around 2 rounds in. And people are very reactionary with their thought process. So, Harry Grant to Jerome Hughes, and they're only at the 30 on fit tackle. Wow. Big yikes. Harry Grant off to Cameron Munster, and Munster is going to whack that ball down to the 20. That's a great kick. Wow. From Cameron Munster, and Gutho picks it up to 15, and he'll bring it out to the 27 or so on first tackle. The bounce just wasn't unbelievable for Munster, but it was a good one. If Titans can get a win and Dolphins lose, the Titans will be the highest Queensland team on the ladder. It's a crazy thought process. I do actually fancy us for an upset tomorrow. But then again, I know that's... Oh, they knocked the ball on. The Dragons do. And the Storm now through Joe Chan and 0 tackle at 25. Well, here's your first try coming up probably right now. Bad mistake there from St George. They've come out of the halftime dressing rooms sleeping at the wheel, the old St George. Clipper Clark, first tackle at the 22. They're going to roll it back to Harry Grant. He gives it off to a flying Farlongo. Farlongo absolutely on the move there. He'll be 10 metres away. Storm coming out with a little bit of oomph here. A little bit of oomph. They'll go out to Harry Grant at the 15. Then off to Josh King. And Josh King is going to be 13 metres away, third tackle. I'll apply that comment in a second. Third tackle, 12 metres away. Harry Grant. He's going to go a little scoot himself. And then he gives it across to Lissati. No, that's not Jack Howard, that's Moses Leo. And Moses Leo is at the 4. Harry Grant at dummy half off to Munster. Munster to Jerome Hughes. Hughes stops, steps inside. Oh, he's away from a couple of tacklers there. Out the back to Farlongo. Farlongo over the top. That's going to be intercepted by the Dragons. What a try saver from Christian Tuipulotu. He'll be taken down to the 13. That is a try saver. Otherwise, that was a try for sure for the Melbourne Storm. But Tuipulotu puts his hand up and bubbles it and grabs the ball before it hits it for a knock on. Great stuff there from Tuipulotu. I think he's been good today. He's scored a try. He's been safe under the high ball. He's done well enough at the back there on defense, and that was a really good play from him. Dion said, Elabella says, I can't believe the Tigers won against the Cowboys. Why? Why? The Tigers are looking like a much better team than the Cowboys this year. They were the favourites for that game. I think most people probably tip the Tigers overall. They were at Leichhardt. Then again, that doesn't prove anything in regards to recent years, but Leichhardt, they've actually got a pretty horrid record at, mind you. The West Tigers do actually have quite a horrible record over the years at Leichhardt. But again, there was a reason why the Tigers were pretty strong favourites for that game. Dion says, think this could be a good season for NRL. Broncos wooden spoon. Oh, jeez, we're really reactionary, aren't we? We are so reactionary to 2 rounds. Wowee. Tigers top 4. Oh, gosh. Oh, for God's sake, lads. I'm not even... Sorry, Dion, I can't read the rest of your comment. What are we doing, man? Well, I'm not reading the rest of your comment. So the Storm... Oh, my God. Oh, Dion, you're going to give me a heart attack reading the rest of that comment. Eels could be top 8. Did we forget what happened last? I can't do it. I just can't do it. So the Dragons are going to be first tackle here at the 6. Can we please just settle down, Dion, before I have a heart attack live on the stream? Tigers top 4, he reckons, off a 1 win against the Cowboys. We've got the Broncos wooden spoon because of 2 early season losses. And we've got 25 rounds to go, and it's not like they did anything good in the first half of last season before winning the comp. Same thing with Panthers, who were last after, 10 rounds and whatnot. And we've also got the Eels making the top 8 after a loss 52-4 last week against the Melbourne Storm. And now, and the Knights could be up there too after 1 win against the Cowboys. Like, Dion, are you drunk? I'm going to lose my mind. What is this? We've been here for 2 rounds, bro. We're not even 2 rounds in. I'm having a meltdown. I'm having an absolute mental breakdown right now. My gosh. 31 and a half minutes to go here in the game, and the Storm are going to be at the 40. Raiders might not let it go. I'm going to move on from your comment. Second tackle now for the Storm. Munster off to Nick Meaney, and Meaney's going to bring this ball to the 43 on third tackle. 30 minutes to go here of the game, guys. Hit that like button and subscribe. Don't you just love reactionary fans in rugby league? Just incredible stuff. Fourth tackle here for the Storm at the 30. No, that is going to be a one-on-one strip there from Couchman. Dude, Dragons, you're well in this game, man. Yeah, Wade Drog had lots of drinks watching the Tigers. Yeah, I can assume that based off of that comment. Second tackle here for the Dragons at the 38. Blaze trying to wrap his head around some of these comments. I'm trying to wrap my head around if that is a troll comment or not, but he's a Tigers fan, so I don't think it's a troll comment. I just think it's an immediately reactionary comment, which is what you see a lot. Fourth tackle now for the Dragons, and they're going to be at the halfway point. I believe he genuinely believed what he was saying there before we kind of took the piss out of it. Fourth tackle, no, 6 again here for St George, and they are 40 metres away here from the line. 40 metres away, and they're going to get the offload away. Damien Cook, Daniel Atkinson here at the 35 on first tackle. Close game here. Play on for Dion. You play on with the drinks, Dion. Have a good time tonight. It's a Saturday. Yeah, it's a great Saturday with the Tigers fans. You know, you got a good win, but again, please remember, it's against the Cowboys. It's against the Cowboys, son. Second tackle here for St George at the 25. Now there'll be third tackle. Josh Kerr, 20 metres away. They roll back to Damien Cook. Cook with a good run here. He'll be 10 metres out. 6 again for St George. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Tigers Warriors grand final. Mark, I'm not even biting. I'm not even biting. Carl Flanagan to Daniel Atkinson. Atkinson quickly. Valentine Holmes! Bang, bang, bang! Take that, Fox AI predictor with you. No acknowledgement of the stats. There you go. There's your Dragons. Try to start off the second half. It's 18-18 with the kit to come. Right on through goes Val Holmes. How's your Fox AI predictor looking now, baby? That's a great hole from Val Holmes. Pause on that wording, but pause on that wording, but he found the hole real well. It's a great ball from Atkinson again. He cuts out Gutho. Perfect pass there to Val Holmes, and Atkinson's having a real good game here. He loves playing the Storm. He does. Cockapoosa's Tigers fans win one game. I think they've got the season. This does happen every year, man. It does happen every year. I do like the Tigers, but second half makes me a little bit concerned against the Cows. But overall, Rabbitohs next week and then Warriors in Auckland the week after. That'll tell us a lot more about the Tigers. So Dragons, 18-18, and they should be able to make this a 20-18 game. Take your Fox AI predictor and shove it with the sun, don't shine. Craig Pelmy has had a pace as a Raider. Okay. Maya says, currently the Wires have the best resume so far. Let's see if my Wires can keep up, they do this a lot, can keep up the good work, especially with Metcalf and Barnett yet to join back in the squad. Yes, but the Warriors do this quite a lot. I did like how the Warriors have played, and the biggest negative of the years has been their attack, and they've looked really, really good. I don't know how much you'd want to change when Metcalf comes back in. I would probably, if anything, keep Tanner in the 7 and Metcalf in the 6 immediately. But that is immediate thoughts off the first 2 rounds. Let's see how the first 7 rounds go before we start to decide where Luke Metcalf does go. But at the end of the day, if you did go 7-0 before Metcalf comes back in, you just can't change what you've got going. You just can't do it. Tanner Boyd's playing incredible footy. And I think Tanner Boyd is the 7, and I think Luke Metcalf is more of a 6. And I said this before this season. I said this when Luke Metcalf was playing well last year. I still think Luke Metcalf is more of a 6 than a 7. So there is a conversion from Val Holmes, and it's 20 points to 18 to the St George Illawarra Dragons with 28 minutes to go here in the game. Injuries will have a massive impact like every year. I think about the Warriors losing Barnett and Metcalf last year. Exactly. And I think that ultimately it was Barnett that was the biggest loss there. Miz says Tanner at 7 and Metcalf at 6 might be the best duo. That's what I've been saying. You know, Tanner had such an incredible year for the New Zealand Warriors reserve grade team in the New South Wales Cup last year. They obviously won the premiership in the New South Wales Cup, and he was a killer. I've known Tanner for a long time, and I've known this is what he has in him, but he just hasn't been able to get it out of him at the Titans, and Titans are just a cemetery when it comes to halfback. So it's been great to see him dominate these first 2 rounds, but it is the first 2 rounds. It is the first 2 rounds. They've played both games in New Zealand, which has been good to see because they don't usually have an amazing stat line in New Zealand compared to what the media try to shove down your throats. But in round 3, New Zealand will be taking on Newcastle in Newcastle. Let's see how the Knights play against Manly tomorrow. But, you know, maybe that should be a real convincing win for the Warriors if they are as good as these first 2 rounds suggest, and their attack has clearly improved compared to recent years. And their defense has stayed pretty resilient. First tackle now for the Dragons at the 18. They've obviously shown a lot more of an intention to attack this year. And that's what we needed to see from the Wires. Second tackle here at the 20. But be very, very careful doing the Bulldogs from last season and changing your team up when Metcalf does come back. I know that's a bit of a different story to Galvin, but they would top the table and looking unbelievable, the Dogs, and they threw that season away, didn't they? Fourth tackle now at the 40. 27 minutes to go here of the game. The Dragons with the ball. Amoza says, if the Wires can beat the Storm, then I'll believe in them. A great call. Wires haven't beaten the Storm under Webby. The Wires haven't beaten the Storm in a long time, man. When was the last time the Wires beat the Storm? They played them in about, 4 weeks? 5 weeks? It's not Anzac Day. I think it might be the week before Anzac Day. Maybe round 6 or something like that, round 6 or 7. Sualabi far longer, gets away from 1, gets away from 2, gets away from 3, and they're away in the Storm. They're at the 20. Will Warbrick has just punched him off. Look at Warbrick go. Look at him extend. Take it down to the 44 on the Dragon side of the field. Oh, and then he loses the ball. That is a massive lost ball from Warbrick. That was amazing from Warbrick until he lost that ball. Wowee. Wowee, that was an amazing run, but then he drops the ball at the 44. That is huge. Far Longo sets up a beautiful play here. Who's Warbrick punched off? Flanagan, get out of my face. And then Warbrick just extends. Dragons, good scramble to get back, and Gutho makes a good tackle, and as he's getting up, the boot just comes across. It's completely accidental. It is a loose carry, and Warbrick loses the ball. And Gutho is quite lucky. If that was adjudicated to be deliberate, then he would have been binned as well. So he's very grateful that the referee has called that as a loose carry, which it was. So the Dragons now, it will be Emagula at the 50. A little bit good, a little bit shit. Who are we talking about, Seb? Holy Warbrick. Mike says, I know the Wires can do it. It's just the injuries. Dragons here. Moses Sully. Sully taking down to the 30 on second tackle. Dragons, get around us. Get around us. Giving a massive crack right now. Kyle Flanagan off to Hamish Stewart. And Hamish Stewart's going to be 23 minutes away from the line. Third tackle. Metcalf will probably start on the bench once he's back. Oh, I don't like it. I do think you still need him in your halves, but and I'm sorry, Chanel, but I do think that if you're going to get rid of a half, you have to probably go Chanel over Tanner right now. Fourth tackle for St George. They are 8 minutes away from the line. Damien Cook gives it to Kyle Flanagan. Flanagan, he'll get out the back to Atkinson. Atkinson here at the 10. Short ball. Probably the behind ball was probably better. Fit tackle here. 4 minutes out for Jaden Sewer. Jaden Sewer back to Damien Cook. He's going to dink this ball through, and it's going to be Ativalu Lasati who gets back there. Lasati gets back, and it will be a dropout from Melbourne. They're under a lot of pressure here, Melbourne. Dion says, can't take Boyd off the field. He's playing like he did last night. You can't take him off right now, but there is still 5 rounds before we have to talk about the Metcalf situation. Ted said that run and lost ball is Warbrick in a nutshell. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Funno's been on the end of a few palms. So far longer, I'm sure they're going to go for the shorty, and they do go for the shorty here, and that is going out in the full. So Dragons will get the ball to 10. Here is a great chance for you, St George, to really take this massive advantage right now. Want to be Derrick Henry. How good was when everything from Will Warbrick just then was amazing until the lost ball. When he opened up in the middle of the field, I know he got done by Gutho in the fullback, but when he opened up, that was looking unreal. His run was looking really strong until the wayward boot of Gutho got in the way of Warbrick's drop ball. So first tackle in, Gutho gets manhandled by Jack Howarth and Jerome Hughes in the end. Good rush-up defense there from Jack. Second tackle for St George. Kyle Flanagan at the 15. Gives it underneath to Hamish Stewart, who is 10 metres away from the line. Third tackle. Damien Cook fakes right. Goes left. He'll give it to... Hits the grass. And that was a bad pass there from Cookie. Fourth tackle at the 18. You don't want that momentum killer just then. That was a momentum killer. Fourth tackle. Moses Sully across to Emre Gula. And he'll be 11 metres away, fifth tackle. Not been the most amazing attacking set so far from the Dragons. Damien Cook to Kyle Flanagan. Flanagan steps again. That was an awful set from the Dragons. That was an awful set from the Dragons, unfortunately. Awful stuff. But it's okay. He's still in 20-18. If Storm lose, Warriors will stay at 1. Not necessarily. It depends on that Panthers versus Sharks result. But it's a good potential. There's a good potential there. If the Storm win, obviously they will go in front. But if not, then let's just go quickly have a look here. So the Sharks, they've got a plus 40. Panthers have a plus 26. If the Sharks win by, well, they have to win by 18 points or more. Like, yeah, you're right. Like, if the Storm lose this game, Well, they need to win by 10 points or more, otherwise the Warriors stay on top regardless. So Jerome Hughes, the 50. I do feel like the Warriors deserve to be on top after the first 2 rounds anyway. Fit tackle now for the Storm, but then you just have to hope the Panthers don't get an absolute whooping of Cronulla, or Cronulla don't get a pretty big win against the... Oh, that's way too long there. That's going to bounce for a 7 tackle set. Awful kick there from Melbourne. And it was Munster. Munster's had a rough game for mine, dude. He has not been good here today. Cameron Munster has been really rough here today. Bit of a wasted set. Get Toby Couchman out there. Dragons come on. There's a weird obsession with Couchman here. What's your obsession with the Couchman boys? I need to sell Toby Couchman if he doesn't come on the field and rip 30... Oh, it's all about fantasy. I was going to say, there's a weird obsession here from Couchman outside of that. Because the Couchman boys are okay. Dragons... Oh, no! No, that's the worst thing you could have done here. Dragons, you've just given the Storm an opportunity 40 metres out. You've just given the Storm a fantastic opportunity 40 metres out with a knock on there from the Dragons. What is he calling here, son? Oh, they're just checking on Ativali Lusati here. So they're checking on Gutho, but it's going to be 0 tackle for St George for Melbourne at the 40. If he gets this here, set to 2, he is away. He would have gotten away from Munster too, I reckon. If he gets that, he would have been absolutely away. Alright, Munster, you're going to turn up here, dude, because you've been really poor today. Oh my gosh, they're going to say that's a late hit. Wow, they're going to say that's a late... I'm sorry, but that is so soft, man. Like, what do you want him to do? What do you want him to do there? They're saying that's a shoulder charge? I don't know about that call. That is horrific. I'm sorry, but I do not agree with that call that the Dragons have just received here. At all. Anyway, Dragons are going to get the ball at 35. Commentary's saying right now the Dragons getting the rub of the green. I think the Dragons have been clearly better team today, but I disagree with that call pretty strongly. Manapapa says, first half score update, please. It was 18-14 halftime to Melbourne Storm. Dragons forward rotations are whack, but it's working. It's working today. They have a bogey thing over the Storm, man. They've won the last 2 years in a row against Melbourne. The Dragons are the kind of team that will go and win this game and then lose to Parramatta next week. So Gutho comes up for HIA, so he's off for the next 15. So Matt Fine is going to come on the field. And does that mean he's fullback? So Matty Fine is going to be the fullback for the Dragons? So you go, well, you're going to try and target that if you are Melbourne right now. So first tackle here for St George, and they'll give it off to Jaden Sewer, who's going to be 28 metres away from the line, second tackle. Dion says, if Panthers get the win, good head start for the season, taking out 2 of the top scalpers, but was getting one up on Raiders as big ups after last year. Well, Broncos have looked rough, though, so I wouldn't say they're 2 of the big scalp. They're a scalp, but based off of last year, sure. Third tackle now at the 18. Flanagan, short ball. And the Dragons are 10 metres away here. That was Couchman. They go out to the right, Flanagan, off to Atkinson. Atkinson steps again. He'll be taken down 8 metres out, fit tackle. No, it's a ball plant, so he's luck. There was very close knock on there from the Dragons, and that's going to be Storm ball at 10. They're not doing too well in regards to their attack and the attack in 20 at the moment, the Dragons. That's what they're leaving out there to be desired at the moment. But 20 minutes to go here of the game, guys. 20 points to 18 to the Dragons. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe. Panthers versus Sharks right after this, but there is 20 minutes left. And as we speak, the Dragons are taking the lead, but they're not making it easy for their fans as we keep going along too. Dragons didn't get the rub of the green last week. No, they didn't. It was 2 weeks ago. They didn't. They got absolutely robbed for a draw for sure. But that doesn't mean that you can't then criticise in the future. Yes, we admit and say that Dragons got robbed in that game for a draw. But that doesn't mean that you then can't criticise the referees for making bad calls in favour of them this week as well. Is Tigers second on the ladder after their win in round 2? Currently, unless there's... Well, no, they'll end up being 4 or 5. If the Storm win this game, they'll be about 5. But currently speaking, they are in second position. I'll have to update that ladder in a second. The kick goes up, and Val Holmes will get smacked down at the 10 on first tackle. Basically, if you're a Tigers fan, you want the Storm to lose this game. But again, who gives a shit about the ladder right now? It's literally the second round. Ladder doesn't even... I don't care about the ladder until good 15 rounds in, really. So this is the table right now. So they have updated it at the very least. This is the table. There we go. All right. So that ladder's updated. All right, let's get back into it. Dragons now fit tackle at their own 40. Maya says Chanel being out yesterday was a blessing because it caused Webb to swap Charlie with Tane at fullback. Oh no, Dragons, you are shitting me. They've kicked that out in the full from their own 40. No way, St George. They've kicked that ball out on the full from their own 40. Oh, dude, Dragons. Don't give the Storm the opportunity. They had that. You gave them the opportunity to score at half time and take the lead. Well, now the Storm, they're on the attack. 30 metres out. Jerome Hughes off to Joe Chan, and Joe Chan's at the 25. Second tackle, Harry Grant. He'll fake it underneath. Jerome Hughes, Munster here. Short ball to Lasati. I've really liked Lasati today in regards to his ball running, especially with no Sean Bloor and Elias Katoa. Joe Chan hasn't really impressed me a great deal today. Did well last week, though. Fourth tackle now for the Storm, 8 minutes away. Harry Grant. He's going to go out to the right to Cameron Munster. Munster hits the grass, and it's going to be Jack Howarth. He'll get the offload away to Joe Chan. And Joe Chan pushes this ball to the 5. Fit tackle. See this defense here, Dragons. You deserve to be in the lead right now. Don't throw it away off that back of that knock on. Farlongo at the back. Farlongo. Oh, too easy. Oh, too easy. Farlongo with a beautiful little step around. And the reason you're losing this game right now, Dragons, is because you gave those 2 penalties away late on in the first half that allowed Harry Grant the opportunity to score, and then you've just you've kicked that ball out in the fall, which allowed the Storm into your attacking area, and then they've capitalised on it. You cannot allow the Storm these kind of opportunities, man. You just can't do it. Damien Cook kicks it from within his own 40, but he kicks it out from his 42, kicks it out in the fall. Storm get that chance. Farlongo scores. Just too easy. Just too easy. Lots of times it's easy money, Dragon. Yeah, I don't know about the easy money here. Do you reckon Jenkins will score Panthers vs Sharks? It's going to be a very good game. A very, very good game. I do like the Sharkies to do something in it, though. I do like the Sharkies to do something in it. Home of the NRL is crazy how the Dragons beat the Broncos, Storm, Raiders and Sharks last year and still came like 16th. That is the Dragons in a nutshell. I've followed the Dragons since the 60s. Good stuff, Klaus. Good to see you passionate behind a team for a very, very long time. Dragons, you disappoint me. Why? Well, the Dragons shouldn't disappoint you at the end of the day. This is still very good from them, and they can still win this game. But yes, they are the ones. They are their own worst enemies in this game. Honestly, the Dragons deserve to be up in this game by like 12 points. They've literally gifted 2 tries to the Melbourne Storm. 2. Farlongo causing issues. Man, so happy he's getting his time to shine as a starting fullback. Farlongo is just a very nifty and speedy fullback. Defensively, you don't expect much from him, but attacking-wise, you expect a lot from him. So from the wing, Nick Meaney will make the kick. Nice kick there. Wollongong is a very hard ground to kick in the NRL because of the wind there on the ocean. The wind is very, very swirly. If you've been to Wollongong, you know what I'm talking about there. But he gets it, and the kicking today from the Storm has been pretty good for the most part. The Dragons have missed 2 conversions, which is why it's 24-20. Dion says, Storm's so good when teams make mistakes. The Storm just know how to win games even when they're not that great. They have not been that unreal here today, but yet they're still leading 24-20 with 16 minutes to go the game. Grant just knows where to put the ball near the try line to get points. He's the best hooker in the game for a reason, by a long way too. Blake Brayley will be next, but it'll be a gap between him and Harry Grant, and then there's a gap between Blake Brayley and the rest for mine. So Tuikameka Mathe is going to bring this ball here to the 15 for the Melbourne Storm. 16 minutes to go here of the game. And then Panthers vs Sharks right on afterwards. And if you just leave the stream on, it will take you immediately across over there. It will take you there itself. It's just a good thing that YouTube does nowadays. Stefano Utukamanu, he's going to be at the 33 on third tackle. What's the beach like behind the stadium? Oh, 1 second. No! Mistake from the Storm, and the Dragons are going to get the ball here at the 45. What are you doing there, Melbourne? Well, now here's your chance here, Dragons, to get your opportunity. What was Melbourne doing there? Second tackle here for St George. They're at the 35. Mice and Panthers vs Sharks predictions. Well, I did put a tipping video out earlier in the week, and I'll put another one out next week, but Oh, it's a one-on-one strip from Melbourne, and they're away. It's Joe Chan, the 40, the 35, the 30, the 25, taken down. Now, if you're the Storm, you go quickly here, and you go left. You go quickly, Joe Chan. Get up, bro. What are you doing? That's a great run from Chan. Oh, he's injured. Okay. I was gonna roast him just then. Fa'alogo, Sualavi, Fa'alogo! With the try time. He goes back-to-back, Munster with the try assist, and that is 28-20 with the kick to come. And that is the Dragons in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Dragons in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen. They have been the better team overall here today, but the mistakes they keep on making is what's given the Storm the game. One-on-one strip there from Joe Chan, which was fantastic. Wishart falls off the tackle. Chan, he gets it. He runs to the 30. He does get injured, so God bless him. I hope he's okay. I was about to roast him from not getting up quickly at the play the ball. But then they just shift the ball out left, and you know that's the way to go. Every single time you shift it to the other side of the field quickly, and Munster gives it to Fa'alogo, and Fa'alogo's pace just goes bang, see you later. And it's a try time for Melbourne, 28-20 with the kick to come. Your mistakes in this game, Dragons, have cost you the win. She's going to be tough now. Yeah, I don't know if the Dragons come back in this now. But you'd be so frustrated if you're a Dragons fan. Joe Chan started so well this season. He has been good. I didn't really think he had an amazing first half, but he was solid. Second half, he's been a lot better. I have really appreciated Ativalu Lasati. He's been really good for the Storm. You know, they lost both their back rowers, Elias Katoa and Sean Bloor. But yet both these guys have really turned up this season for them. 13 minutes to go here in the game. Not looking fantastic for the Dragons, Ms. Sir, but that's what happens. You give the Storm their opportunity, and they will capitalise on it. That is just what Melbourne do. Dorado says, it's just frustrating seeing the Dragons fight and then make errors to give it away. These lower sides always do it, despite playing well. The Dragons are the prime time team across the competition for playing well and losing by a close margin to everyone. And Nick Meaney will miss the kick, so it stays as an 8-point game, though. Stays as an 8-point game, 28 points to 20. A very quick double right there. Wouldn't be surprised if Fa'alogo breaks the record for quickest hat-trick with the way Melbourne are capitalising. Well, what is the quickest hat-trick? Is it... I don't know. I think Charlie Staines scored a really quick 3 tries once when in his 4-try game, but I can't remember. I'd love Hines to have a wicked game even if the Sharks lose, but hope not. I hate it when Sharks lose and everyone blames Hines. I know, I roast it all the time. 4 tries for the Dragons, 5 tries for the Storm here. Oh, wow, Storm, that was really risky from Warbrick. But he's going to bring this ball back here to the 10 on first tackle. I think Sloane's out of favour. Wait, Tyrell Sloane... Yeah, I think he's out of favour, bro. I don't think he's injured. I'll have a look and see in the news here. Points are plenty as Dragons come out on top. No, yeah, he's out of favour. He's playing the New South Wales Rugby League. He's playing the New South Wales Cup. 3rd tackle. Now 4th tackle for the Storm, and they'll get this ball to the 40 through Tyron Wishart. What happened to Ryan Pappenhausen? Little Mama and the Puppy, he decided to retire. He retired culture last year, at the end of last season. So 5th tackle. It'll be at the 45. 12 minutes and 20 seconds to go here of the game. He just felt like it was his time. Oh, Sean Johnson with the fastest hat-trick. Who was that against? And that is going to be Val Holmes who gets his ball up to set to 2, and 2 will be at the 13. Many Western people wonder why Lomax left the Dragons. Zach Lomax is a piece of shit, man. Like, the way he's treated clubs, there's no defending Zach Lomax. And people wonder why Lomax left the Dragons, as if, like, it's an insult to the Dragons. No, it's an insult on the character of Zach Lomax, the way that he has treated multiple clubs and treated multiple people. So, no, I'm not going to sit here and hear defensive Zach Lomax decision-making to leave the Dragons high and dry and then leave the Eels high and dry to go and get a lucrative offer with a competition that wasn't even sorted yet, and then try to take the NRL and take Parramatta Eels to court because of his own stupid actions. So, no, I'm not going to hear defensive Zach Lomax decision-making. But the Dragons will lose the ball again here inside their own 20, and the Storm are going to be with the ball 10 metres out here from the line. No way will I hear people defending Zach Lomax, and especially his exit from the Dragons. And you can make an argument for the Eels, but no way from the Dragons. So that's going to be 3rd tackle here for Melbourne at the 4. 4 metres out. They go out the back here from Harry Grant to Munster. Munster short ball into the line. Lasati 4th tackle here 2 metres away from the line. Puppy scored 4 tries in 1 half versus, I think it was the Sharks, wasn't it? Munster, he's going to step, he's going to go, and he'll be 4 metres away from the line, 5th tackle. Can't believe Zach thinks he's a big loss to the game. He's a major loss to people who... Oh, Jerome Hughes, and another error turns into another try for the Melbourne Storm. Jerome Hughes will score. Right next to the post, and it is 32 points to 20 to the Melbourne Storm with 10 minutes to go in the game. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you're new around here. Dragons, you lost this game through your errors, unfortunately. You've lost this game through your errors. Jerome Hughes will score right next to the post with 10 minutes to go here in the game. Oh, it was against the Tigers. You're right. Yeah, it was. It was against the Tigers. It was for the Ryan Pappenhausen 4 tries, yeah. But it was, I think, for 12 minutes for the first 4, yeah. Puppy scored 4 in like 15 minutes against the Broncos. Oh, was it the Broncos? Shit. Yeah, it was against the Broncos. Pappenhausen scored like 3 tries against the Sharks, Draz, so you can understand where I got confused. But Dragons 32-20 down to the Storm with 10 minutes left, and yeah, he gets there. He gets there. He does get there. Maya says somebody won 4Gs. Congrats. Well, someone won 4Gs. Hit us up with a dono. 4Gs, good win. Jared Farmoni says, who was that guy who needed Hughes and Farlongo needing that 10% tax here? Yeah, we get that 10% now. As a dono on the chat. Can't wait with the $400 donation. Draz says there's 11 minutes left, but man, Storm have played 5 out of 10 and could win 13 plus. Yep, the Dragons have done this to themselves in a lot of ways. You can't give the opportunities to the Storm because they will pounce, and they have pounced here. It's 34-20 with 9 minutes to go here of the game. The Dragons were the better team for the most of this game, but their errors have been the crucial part. They had that, it's just the errors have killed them here, man. Killed them. Know about Puppy scoring a hat-trick against the Sharks. That's the last time we missed the finals, yeah. But I do remember that Broncos game. That was the 4, yeah. If you had Storm 13 plus as your last leg, you have sweated for 71 minutes. Well, it's not over yet. It's still 14 points with 9 minutes to go. I don't think the game's over. I don't think the Dragons come back from here. But it's not over yet in terms of, the 13 pluser. Wait, why did... Oh, they're talking about the Sharks. I was like, why'd the Titans just come straight in the commentary? They said, put 50 on the Titans. I thought they were talking about both these teams. But no, they were talking about the Sharks for the game, Panthers-Sharks right after this. Damien Cook comes off the field here for the Dragons. I think it is a HIA here for Damien Cook, so he won't be seen again today, unfortunately. He's banged his head a couple of times and he's off for a HIA, so he will be getting a rest for the rest of this game. The Dragons kick this ball down to the Storm in their own end goal. Jerome Hughes off to Ikami Kamitha with a strong run. And he'll get this ball to the 15. At least we've seen Munster turn up a little bit more here in the second half. He's been a lot better to watch in the second half than he was in the first. Which has been a key way as to why this team has improved drastically here in the second half. Third tackle now for the Storm. They'll get this ball to the 30. They couldn't just say that the Sharks put 50 points up last week. Had to mention the Titans. Of course they had to shit on my Titans. Of course they did, Gee whiz. Fourth tackle now for Melbourne. Harry Grant to Munster. Munster's going to run this ball into the attacking half and nearly gets away. Taken down to the 38, but a good run from him. He had Farlong on his inside. They'll give it across to Farlongo, then to Jerome Hughes, and Hughes is going to whack that ball up in the air. Is there anyone chasing? There is a chaser here for the Storm. And good work from Tyron Wishart. But the Dragons will get the ball through Setu 2 with the 12. And Gutho is back on the sideline after his HIA. So he's about to come back on for the last 8 minutes here. The Storm going to pump the Broncos next week. I think so, but the Storm aren't exactly convincing as we currently speak, but they should go 3-0, yeah. I'm sure I'll tip them. I don't know if I'll be feeling any... I'll get it wrong with everybody. Every single person's going to tip the Storm next week against the Broncos besides Broncos fans, so I'm happy to get it wrong with literally everybody if the Broncos do get a surprise victory, and it's in Melbourne too. Fifth tackle now for the Dragons. They're at the 42. Thursday night at Amy Park in Melbourne, Storm versus the Broncos. Broncos have a really good chance of going 0-3 to start the season. Farlongo, great take at the 25. He's had a good game here today. And look at him bouncing around. First tackle. Dasman says, we forgetting that the Storm were down by 2 points like 10 minutes ago. I'm not. I just referenced the fact that they're still not convincing. But they've still got 52 points in the first round and now 34 points in the second round. It's against the Eels and the Dragons, but 86 points in the first 2 rounds scored is pretty good. Only 24 points conceded across the 2 games is also very good. They're averaging, 20. They're averaging 12 points a game right now against them, with the 2 points from last week, and 11 points against them. No, with 4 points. So Storm are going to beat the halfway point 4 tackle through Lisati, who's been good today. So you have 24 points. That means 12 points per game, effectively. That's pretty good for the Storm. But then again, if you watch this game, you know what the criticism is. Raham Matthews says, up to Hughes and Farlongo. Yeah, where's the Adono for you big win? Come on. Where's the Adono? Good win, Bart. Good win. So first tackle in for the Dragons at 5 metres out. Dasmus says, that's right. Haven't watched the second half. What happened to Gutho? HIO. He got injured. But the Dragons will get this ball to the 10. On second tackle, you get banned if you don't pay up, Dennis says. Third tackle now at the 25. Brian says, the attitude shift the Broncos would need in 1 week to somehow beat the Storm seems very unlikely. Another mistake from St George coming off their own line. Storm ball at the 35 on first tackle. Yikes. Broncos might go 3-0. 0-3, you mean. I would have never guessed that before the season started. No, not with a... Well, you would have expected to... You would have had a good idea they might have lost the Storm and the Panthers, but no one would have expected them to lose to the Eels. So third tackle now for the Storm. No, lag. We're talking about Ray Matthews, who's won 4K on Farlongo and Hughes scoring. So out of the left-hand side of Munster. 6 again here for the Storm. Farlongo. He's the 10. He's going again. He's going again. And there's your hat-trick for Swillovi. Farlongo. 38-20 with a kick to come. He's been unbelievable. Oh, my boy. Dragons, every single time you've made a mistake in the second half, the Storm have capitalised on it. 38-20 with a kick to come from basically right in front. They're about to hit 40. Again, hit the Storm. They got 52 last week. They're about to get 40 again this week. So that is 92 points across 2 games so far. Speaking of bets, give me Truscers on the next game. Off the top of my head, we'll do a quick little preview before the game starts on the stream over there. But off the top of my head, I would probably say for the Sharkies, I'll go Jesse Ramian. I'll go Jesse Ramian, and I will say back row, I'm going to go Billy Burns. Billy Burns, back row, and I'll go Jesse Ramian. Then for the Panthers, I'm going to slap in a little bit of Casey McLean. And also forwards-wise, I'm going to go with Zai Papali'i. That's what I'm going to do. Nintendo says, I hate the Storm, but it's nice to see them producing actual talent from Victoria. Yeah, Farlongo is a great talent. And they're very grateful they didn't let him go when there was the teams searching for him the other year because of the Pappenhausen obviously going has opened up his spot. But he was close to going. And Meany will get the conversion. So 40 points to 20 with 3 minutes and 45 to go here of the game. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Jared Fat Money says, Farlongo, man, what a talent they've developed down there. No, he is an unbelievable talent. He is also off the field now. Very quick hat-trick here in the second half. That's just gone and won the game for him. The Storm, they've just been too clinical in the second half, and despite not looking overall great in this game, the Dragons have just handed them a prime platter of a winnie, and the Storm have taken it. That's what they do. The Storm, they just know how to absolutely damn well take it. They've taken it full grasp by the scruff of the neck, and see you later. So Storm, Jerome Hughes, off to Stefano Utuakamanu, and Utuakamanu is going to be at the 15 on first tackle. Don't forget, we're live Panther Sharks. In 10 minutes' time, we'll be live for that one, but this stream will send you straight over there. Appreciate the loyalty and patience that Farlongo has shown, knowing he was behind Puppy, and now he's gotten the chance to. Yeah, well, he's had to wait for his time to pounce, and now he's pouncing, and gee whiz, he's looked good. He has looked good since getting his opportunity. Third tackle now for the Storm, and they're going to be at the 35. $500 return, cheeky. We're on. Olivia says, wow, this is closer than I thought. Olivia, 15 minutes ago, the Dragons were winning 20-18. 15 minutes ago, the Dragons were winning 20-18. It is now 40-20 to the Storm with 2 minutes and 50 to go. Theory, mate. All right, fit tackle now for Melbourne. They're 48 metres away here from the Dragons line, and Jerome Hughes whacks that ball up. The chase is nice here from Will Warbrick, but Gutho gets slapped in the tackle at 13. Storm broke the so-called curse. Well, it wasn't a curse, but it's still a bogey team. Like, at the end of the day, this is still a game that proves the bogey thing for me. You know, they're able to get the win, which is good, but they're still a bogey team. The Dragons have pushed them all the way here. It's just these last 15 minutes the Storm have broken away. But it's not a curse. It's still a bogey team for them. The Dragons have pushed them all the way here. They've won the last 2 years in a row against them. They pushed them all the way in a game in 2023 as well when they did lose. So, no, I'm still happy to say the Dragons are a bit of a bogey team here for the Storm. So, fit tackle now for St George at the 33. I wonder what the future of footy is like in Bathurst. It all just seems to be a fun little one game a year over there. A fair bit of talent over there, I'm sure. What do you mean? Like, what are you actually what are you actually suggesting? First tackle here at the 40 for the Storm. I'm sure you're not thinking there's going to be a team included there. They won't get a team. Second tackle now for the Storm. And they're going to get this ball to the 40 on their own side of the field. A minute 27 to go here of the game. Third tackle now, 43 metres out from the Dragons line. They're not going to hit the fitty bomb here. But two big scores so far today with the Tigers beating the Cowboys well. And Munster gets that ball to Lasati. Lasati back to Munster. Munster here at the 40. And he's going to step around one. He's going to step around a couple. And then he'll be taken down to the 35 on fourth tackle. Will Candies from Bathurst him up it. Well, why, who's talking a fair bit of talent over there, I'm sure. But what are you saying? What's happening in the chat? I don't understand a couple of these comments. Fit tackle now for the Storm. Do they go for a field goal just for a bit of a shit kicker? They just go for a bit of a laugh. Field goal here. Harry Grant. No, they go left-hand side. No, they go right-hand side. Harry Grant doesn't know. They're going to go for a field goal. Munster. It'll be charged down. That's funny. And that's going to be a fresh set of 6 here for the Storm. And Moses Leo, he's going to bring this ball back to the 40, the 35, the 30. Moses Leo, great run. He's at the 20. He's probably going to score here. He is going to score here, Moses Leo. That's a try time for the Melbourne Storm. 44 to 20 with the kick to come. You didn't want to charge that down, Dragons. You did not want to charge that down. Oh, boy. 44 to 20 with a kick to come. The Storm are going to score 46 points again. So for anyone who's criticising the Melbourne Storm attack this year, 52 points against the Eels, 46 points against the Storm. That is 98 points in 2 weeks for Melbourne Storm. They look ominous. But that charge down there, Jaden Stewart took one to the face, and yet the other Dragons players just don't even try to stop Moses Leo there. Don't take the kick over the fitty, you cats. Yeah, well, we're going to get blue-balled. And it is going to be 46 to 20. Rugby League Therapy Podcast. Is any truth to the rumour that Craig Bellamy withdrew from coaching advisor role with New South Wales to work on catching practice for Will Warbrick? I think he's probably withdrawn from that just so that he can guarantee Bronson Terry's signature right now. That's good points to start the season. It's great points to start the season. Who cares? It's against the Eels and the Dragons. It's not like they're teams that you really rely upon. But remember how people were saying the Dragons' defense is unbelievable? Based off that Bulldogs game? So it's actually the debutant, Angus Hinchy here, will get the conversion. So there we go. Final score, 46 points to 20 to the Melbourne Storm. Angus Hinchy is the one to get the conversion. And the Dragons, unfortunately, they get punched in the mouth here today. Long season ago, but after all that positivity that Dragons fans were feeling after that game against the Canterbury Bulldogs, I think you understand where I'm coming from now in regards to Bulldogs attack isn't that great. You got 14 points, but your defense was able to hold it out a poor Bulldogs attacking team. But it is only 2 rounds in. You've got to hope next week you beat Para. Para had a good win against the Broncos. The Broncos looked awful. But Dragons, you've got to win next week against Para. You just have to, otherwise you go 0-3, and that is a rough start for you, even though you've played 2 really good teams here. This has been a trial by fire for you against the Bulldogs and the Storm, and now you've got to go and beat the old Parramatta Eels. But all right, guys, we're going to see you in 7 minutes' time for the final game of the day, which will be a belter, Panthers versus the Sharkies. Come on now. So I've gone from 0-2 with my tips to now 1-2 to 3-2. So I'm happy with that. I struggled with the first 2 games, but at least I got the next 3. And now I've gone with the upset tip of the Sharkies as well. So hopefully that would be a really good one to pull me back in regards to those tips. But hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new around here. I will see you in 6 minutes' time for the very next game, which is the Panthers versus the Sharkies. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya.